Good afternoon, honorable members. When the business of the House suspended before lunch, the honorable member for Foxhill had reserved the floor for Carmichael. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Carmichael.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, I count it a singular honor to have the opportunity to rise on behalf of the wonderful people of Carmichael, contribute to this midterm budget debate. Permit me, sir, to begin by offering condolences to some special people in my life. First, to my good friend, Reverend Dr. Ranford Patterson, who is mourning the loss of his maternal grandmother, Amelia Colley. Carmichael resident and former Attorney General Claire Hepburn, and her husband Bones, offer my prayers as she mourns the passing of her brother. Secondly, sir, to my buddy James Storr in Andros, who buried his mother recently. Speaker, I want my cousin, Reverend Brinley Marshall, and his siblings, who also buried their mother, Reverend Janet Marshall, and also Ken and Cashel, to know that they hold a special place in my heart. My home community of Steinert Creek has lost an amazing matriarch. She's lived a full life and has given much to this world. So I give thanks for her and for our children and grandchildren who continue to care so deeply about our home community. You being an island boy, Mr. Speaker, would know. Finally, Mr. Speaker, my good friend, my classmate, Goldie. Goldie will know who Goldie is, and everybody who needs to know will know who Goldie is. We lost our sister, Jackie Hepburn. Speaker, I now turn to the formal part of my communication. I begin, sir, by thanking Permanent Secretary Antoinette Thompson, Director of Public Works, Melanie Roach, and all staff members of the Ministry of Public Works. I'm so very fortunate, sir, to be blessed with the opportunity to work with so many consummate professional officers. They care deeply about the Bahamian people, about the state of our country. And each day they recommit themselves to focusing on building a better Bahamas for the benefit of our people. I'm very fortunate to be surrounded by such exceptional professionals. I'm particularly thankful to be able to work with the Permanent Secretary and the Director, two ladies who are highly competent and amazingly energetic. Much as I try, Mr. Speaker, I can't keep up with either one of them. But as the saying goes, if you love your job, you will never work a day in your life. And I love my job, sir. Mr. Speaker, in a few months, our schools will close for the summer. That means that school repairs will begin in earnest. I'm grateful that the Director of Public Works has taken his often contentious task at full speed. We have met with the Minister of Education and his staff. We have taken a technical officer from the Ministry of Education with us to view the condition of Family Island schools. And we have engaged professional consultants to prepare scopes of work for all of the schools. We expect that the repairs will be approached professionally and competently. And if there are any unexpected challenges, sir, I shall keep this Parliament fully apprised. With respect to the summer, sir, I am grateful that former Director of Youth, Gregory Butler, is with us at the Ministry of Public Works. He has many years of experience in organizing summer work initiatives for young people, and he fully subscribes to my vision for an experiential initiative for our students. Mr. Speaker, we are not interested in babysitting anyone this summer. The The ministry will actively seek out students who are interested in careers as architects, engineers, plumbers, electricians, welders, in air-conditioned technology, construction management, urban development and regional planning, human resource management, development and training, and public administration and related fields. Provide them with appropriate levels of exposure to their chosen profession. We know that the Ministry of Public Works has the outstanding skilled professionals who are able to mentor our young people and guide them in their career choices. And Mr. Speaker, I am impressed with our young people. While a few bad apples give them a bad name, I look, for example, at the students at St. John's College, who had the determination and the desire to succeed under the guidance of Father Turnquest to build an operational solar-powered car. The Ministry of Public Works will provide those young people with the opportunity to continue to develop their expertise in solar energy by attachment to the ministry during the summer. Mr. Speaker, I look at Christopher Curry, the head boy at Aquinas College, who shadowed me as Minister of Public Works for a day, and who is making all of the right decisions to become an outstanding professional. There are many more examples, sir, of outstanding young people who are doing the right thing. The Ministry of Public Works will seek to develop the talents of those who come to work with us this summer and deepen their desires through the creation of new apprenticeship schemes and a new mentorship initiative under Mr. Butler's leadership. We seek through this initiative to ensure that the Ministry of Public Works, Department of Public Works, Department of Physical Planning possess the necessary human capital to deliver on our strategic goals, which are aligned with the government's mandate. Whilst we also prepare students to seek entry-level positions in technical and professional careers, we will also seek to promote individual development through the transfer of skills, expert knowledge, and insight, and to provide a mechanism for developing future leaders to eventually hold key positions within the ministry and in the country. In the same vein, sir, the ministry will be organizing Public Awareness Month. We want to sensitize the Bahamian public to the critical nature of the work that the ministry accomplishes and ensure that Bahamians are knowledgeable of the services that we provide. In this regard, sir, the ministry has developed a Facebook page, and I invite Bahamians everywhere to become our friends on Facebook. Speaker, just a note about Facebook. Desmond Bannister has no Facebook page.
Neither does Brent Simonet.
I am associated with the ministry's page and with Carmichael's page. However, I have no personal page.
Me neither.
Regrettably, sir, over the past few months, fraudsters have created several Facebook pages in my name. I want to assure the public that I will not be asking them for any money.
Me neither.
And so if you see someone named Desmond Bannister on Facebook messaging you about money, don't do it, because it ain't me.
And it definitely ain't Brent Simonet.
Speaker, I now turn my attention to the HR initiatives in the ministry. As I indicated previously, the former director retired. Since he retired, we have been fortunate to acquire the services of Ms. Melanie Roach in her third stint as Director of Public Works. I'm thankful that she has agreed to make the sacrifice to give service again. We've also made a deliberate effort to hire Bahamian professionals. In this respect, we have been able to attract several highly qualified senior engineers back to the public service. Now, in the process of hiring a number of young Bahamian professionals who will be the future of the Ministry of Public Works. Speaker, I am very passionate on ensuring that our young Bahamian professionals will have every opportunity to obtain their professional qualifications. We have a relatively large number of vacancies for engineers and architects, and quite a number of young Bahamians who hold posts as assistant engineers or assistant architects. To assist them in obtaining their professional qualifications, we are in the process of creating a division that will be focused entirely on professional development to ensure that these young people will have the opportunity to obtain their professional qualifications so that they may qualify for promotion. Speaker, my ministry still has too many people who have not been established in the public service. This year, with the help of the member for Garden Hills, we've succeeded in having a number of our employees regularized. However, there's much more to be done, and we shall continue to work to facilitate the establishment of our employees in their best interest and in the interest of their families. For these and other outstanding HR initiatives at the ministry, I wish to thank Deputy Permanent Secretary Cheryl Darville and her able staff, and I wish Mrs. Darville all the very best as she moves on to further professional development. Mr. Speaker, a few months ago, I unabashedly and openly admitted that I hate potholes, and I still do. I hate them with a passion. And by all the feedback that we have received, it's clear that the Bahamian people hate potholes just as much as I do. Potholes can be caused by a number of factors. Sometimes there's caving below the road because of the type of rock formation we have, and that may cause the road to sink. Sometimes we have heavy vehicles cause damage from overuse of the roads. Sometimes there's water damage in the road. But all too often, Mr. Speaker, utilities excavate the roads and do not reinstate them properly, leading to a progressive weakening of the roads and the inevitable potholes.
Potholes take a picture.
I wanted to show what it looks like a lot of times. This is where we have excavations at times. This is some utility cutting into the road, not reinstating it properly. And what happens is that I'm sorry. This happens, you see this all over New Providence, all over the country. So we often have these excavations in the road. And it's just so unfair to the Bahamian public when those excavations are not reinstated properly. So, Mr. Speaker, our major challenge with roads comes from the fact that New Providence has so many old roads. And we don't have a tax base that is focused on raising money for road preservation and repair. Hence, we provide $10 million a year to Bahamix, which is owned by the government for paving roads. But that sum isn't enough to scratch the surface of what is required for road paving and maintenance. Since our return to the ministry, Director Roach has convened a weekly meeting focused on road repairs. And representatives from each of the utilities meet with her and myself, and I'm available on Monday mornings to coordinate road paving initiatives. Quite often what happens is that utilities are set on one side of the road. In order to provide services to homes on the other side, utilities excavate, or in layman's terms, they cut into the road. The law requires them to reinstate the road at their own expense. But very often they're not responsible sufficiently to reinstate the road, or do not do so in a timely manner, or do it poorly, as in this example you see here. In all of those cases, the roads are weakened and can be easily damaged by further ordinary traffic. Under the Roads Act, Mr. Speaker, the fine for utilities excavating the road without permission or not reinstating the road is only $75. So you see them routinely excavating roads every day without permission and then not reinstating the road to an acceptable standard. I've advised utilities that it is our intention to amend the law so that the fine will be increased to $10,000 for unauthorized excavations and negligent reinstatements. And I want the public, Mr. Speaker, to help me send a strong message. After months of trying, the Ministry of Public Works finally has a WhatsApp line. The number, I want everyone to take it down, is 376-0936. 376-0936. And I'm begging members of the public to save the number. If you see a pothole, take a photo and WhatsApp it to us. If you see anyone cutting into the road and they cannot produce a permit, take a photo of them and the work they're doing and WhatsApp it to us. If the road is not being restored in a timely and proper manner, take a photo and WhatsApp it to us. In each case, be sure to tell us the location, and the burden will be on the ministry to respond quickly. We have a job to do, Mr. Speaker, and we have to take that job seriously. We have to get it done to the satisfaction of the Bahamian people. And so once that is done, the burden will be on us. Speaker, the ministry has 3 pothole patching crews. We ought to be able to respond quickly to do the job that the Bahamian people want us to do. And we have to appreciate that we will be judged by our efficiency in getting each job completed professionally. I therefore implore members of the public at large to take those photos of potholes and to send them in. We're going to have to improve our standards so that we may no longer be criticized for mediocre service. Whilst we are short on vehicles, our staff have the requisite skills and the leadership to set a higher standard, and we shall do just that. Speaker, there are also 9 companies that are under contract to repair potholes throughout New Providence. 4 of them are now on the job. In St. Anne's and Fox Hill, there's Arrows Urban Development. In Nassau Village, in Sea Breeze, there's the Ground Crew, and also in Marathon. Carmichael, Southern Shores, and Tall Pines and Garden Hills, there's Evans Paving. In Golden Gates, Bamboo Town, Pinewood, and South Beach, there's Southern Trucking and Paving. I expect that the other 5 contractors will mobilize soon to serve the other areas of New Providence. If that does not happen quickly, they may expect to be replaced, Mr. Speaker. My ministry expects the highest level of professionalism and efficiency from them in filling potholes promptly, and we will not compromise that standard. Speaker, for those of us who are a little older, you might remember hometown, South Andrews. You will also remember the Spinners. They had a hit called "I'll Be Around." Some of the lyrics said, "Whenever you call me, I'll be there. Whenever you want me, I'll be there. Whenever you need me, I'll be there. I'll be around." That song, Speaker, typifies the approach of the diligent staff of the Ministry of Public Works. When New Providence experienced wild winds last week, and West Bay Street was covered with sand, ministry staff, led by Assistant Engineer Bahia Hepburn, and assisted by Oliver Dorset, Carlos Devereaux, and Guilford Hinsey from the road section, were there clearing the roads, assisting with traffic management, and returning sand to the beaches. I applaud them, sir, for their amazing commitment to get the job done. When similar weather damaged and closed the glass window bridge, and then the rushing tide found an easy path through a sand mining operation to create a chasm 8 feet deep and 30 feet wide, across the Queens Highway in Eleuthera last week. Senior engineers Cox and Musas from the ministry were there. They surveyed the damage to the road and to the bridge, determined the cause, created a temporary diversion in the road to permit the passage of vehicles, used concrete to fill in a gap at the southern side of the bridge, approach abutment, utilized a crane to erect concrete barriers on the side of the bridge, filled in a gap at the southern side of the bridge approach abutment, filled a hole in the road with concrete, and then caused the sand and debris to be removed from the road. The ministry sign shop, led by Joan Campbell, Akara Davis, Yvonne Farrington, and Gloria Bethel, prepared warning signs for the roads. That was an outstanding team effort, Mr. Speaker, and this is what that bridge looks like, and this is what they have done in terms of taking temporary measures. When we had fires in the mud, Mr. Speaker, Joshua Smith and the staff of our Abaco office were there. They surveyed the damage, got the first area cleared, posted signs, and now fencing it in now to create a green space. They will do the same for the second area that was damaged. When Nassau experienced 4 inches of rain in 4 hours last week, the ministry mobilized 2 crews led by senior engineer Dexter Williams on Sunday to intervene and pump water from the streets of Pinewood all day long, for the entire day. This Pinewood Gardens drainage issue, sir, is a vexing one that we shall have to consider shortly. The resolution will be extremely expensive for the Bahamian taxpayer if we are resolute enough to tackle the problem in a forthright manner. Let me pause, Mr. Speaker, to note that Pinewood has a long-standing problem with water disposal issues. And that is because we've constructed homes on land that should never have been developed. There are over 80 drainage wells in Pinewood, which ordinarily should be more than enough. However, sir, we have to remember that this was swampy, reclaimed land, which presents problems even when tide is low. Moreover, the land is so flat that water lays in one place rather than being driven into the wells. The estimate for a solution for the area based on the studies completed range anywhere from $7.4 million to $9.8 million, and that cost continues to rise. More studies will have to be done to determine what is the most effective solution for Pinewood. Speaker, so I commend the ministry staff for their diligence and their dedication to service. In many respects, they are unsung heroes going about their duties quietly and efficiently. So much so that when I visit schools now, I tell the kids to call me Mr. Fix-It. And Mr. Speaker, we have started to fix many of the things that require our attention. Just from the 3 islands that I've visited, there's an ambitious list of challenges to fix. So I will touch on a short list of some of the critical projects that we will focus on in the upcoming year. So we will include the bridges in Fresh Creek, Stanyard Creek, and Stafford Creek in our upcoming budget. By God's grace, we will build new bridges that are required to replace those dangerous structures. We will budget for roadworks to create culverts on the highway. We will budget for roadworks to create culverts on the highway in North Abaco. So when we fix the road, the stink pond will henceforth be known as the sweet pond. We will budget for corrective works for the Dawn Road in Hopetown and the bridge in Spanish Wells, so the residents can be assured of safe passage in both of those communities. We will budget for engineering studies on the Glass Window Bridge, so we can commence plans for the building of a new bridge to keep Eleuthera connected in good weather and in bad. We will coordinate budgeting efforts with the Ministry of Tourism so that Long Islanders get their much-needed airport, and the North Eleuthera Airport is built in a location that is safe. We will budget for phased seawall construction and repair in vulnerable low-lying areas of Grand Bahama, such as West End, Hunters, and Hepburn Town in the upcoming budget year. And then Bartlett Hill, Hana Town, Martin Town, and High Rock in 2020. And finally, Pinders Point, Lewis Yard, Marktown, Williamstown, Jonestown, and McLeanstown in the following year. We will coordinate our budgeting efforts with the Ministry of Education to begin the process for building schools in Inagua, in Gregorytown, Eleuthera, and on Carmichael Road in New Providence. Speaker, that is a tiny peek at a small but critical portion of our focus for the near future. We have a very ambitious agenda, and I thank my colleagues in this place for pointing out to me the critical concerns that they have in their constituencies. Speaker, that little peek shows that there's much to be done in our family islands. And we at the Ministry of Public Works eagerly embrace the challenge. During the month of April, we plan to visit Exuma, Michael, and Grand Bahama to continue our fact-finding exercise so that we may continue to plan for the heavy lifting that we must do to maintain our beautiful Bahama land. Speaker, I now turn to the Straw Market Authority. I will refer to the SMA. The Straw Market Authority has undergone significant changes in its management structure in recent months. We have tragically lost facilities manager Basil Hyler and have changed direction with our accounting leadership. There are critical electrical issues which are currently being addressed through the replacement of faulty light fixtures throughout the market. Until such time as the improvements have been completed, the aesthetics of the Bay Street market will continue to be adversely impacted. Concerns about the proper functioning of the sprinkler system are also being addressed. The authority has now publicly advertised for and interviewed a number of applicants for the position of CEO, manager of the straw market, and we anticipate that the board will select a candidate soon. Mr. Speaker, the minister will not be involved in the process. Under my leadership, I expect the boards will function without political interference. The board is currently engaged in productive talks with representatives of Bahama with respect to the Cable Beach market, Pompey market, as Bahama has indicated that the authority has a large outstanding debt with respect to rent, utilities, and maintenance expenses associated with the Cable Beach market. Unfortunately, sir, as has become a commonplace occurrence, the books and records of the authority reflect no outstanding debt or arrangement for the payment of any rent, utilities, or maintenance fees to Bahama. In any event, the authority has sought to make provision for this new eventuality in its draft budget, and we hope to be in a position in the near future to come to an agreement on a written contract which will govern the relationship between the authority and Bahama. With respect to the Paradise Island market, that market is in serious disrepair. The authority has engaged in initial dialogue with representatives of Atlantis and hope to be in a position in the near future to come to a mutually beneficial agreement which will govern the relationship between the authority and Atlantis with respect to that market. We advise that Atlantis may require the authority to also now pay a fee for the occupation of the structures which house the Paradise Island market. In this regard, the authority has sought to make provision for this line item in our draft budget. The Fort Charlotte and Fort Fincastle markets, the authority has had successful talks with representatives from AMMC in relation to those two markets that are located on historic sites in New Providence. The AMMC has indicated that it will provide us with a draft memorandum of understanding, and it is the authority's hope that this memorandum of understanding will be the basis upon which the leadership and the relationship between our two entities will be governed. As with Bahama and Atlantis, we anticipate that AMMC may require the SMA to pay a fee for occupying spaces in the Fort Charlotte and Fort Fincastle monuments. And in this regard, we are also seeking to make provision for this line item in our draft budget. Speaker, I want to turn to finances of the authority. As indicated in a previous intervention, the board discovered shortly after its appointment that the accounts department of the authority lacked procedural policies necessary to prevent mismanagement and mishandling of the funds of the authority. In order to immediately address this deficiency, the authority engaged accountants to review its books and records. Following the initial review, the authority was advised it would be financially prudent to engage the services of a financial consultant to assist on a regular basis, and accordingly, Mr. Dominic Williams has been so engaged. He is currently conducting a review of all suppliers' files and outstanding invoices. We hope to be in a position shortly to provide a comprehensive review of the accounts of the SMA. In accordance with advice received, sir, the SMA's bank accounts now require 2 or 3 authorized signatures to sign any check, and the SMA has discontinued the previous practice, which had permitted persons to sign checks that were made payable to them personally. Additionally, sir, the SMA has discontinued the 2 credit cards that had been issued in the names of former board members and paid the outstanding balances off. The SMA has terminated cell phone services with BTC and presently is in communication with representatives of BTC, seek to negotiate a payment plan to settle the indebtedness of $31,216.28 for the cell phones, $66,915.86 for the landlines, which the board were faced with when they were appointed. The SMA also had to deal with a legacy debt of unpaid bills of $147,181.43 owed to BPL and $52,635.79 owed to the Water and Sewage Corporation, for a total indebtedness of $297,949.36 that the board met in place when they assumed office. Mr. Speaker, the board has also discovered a branding agreement entered into between BTC and the authority, which was made in about September, October 2016. The authority is of the view that the terms of the agreement have not been adhered to, and as a result is actively discussing same with BTC to seek to amicably resolve the differences. Speaker, I want to touch on the daycare center and nurses station. As a result of numerous meetings and walkabouts with representatives from the preschool and the daycare council, the authority has concluded that at this time it is unable to provide daycare center on the premises. It is our hope that at some future time we will be in a financial position to provide some aftercare facility for children and grandchildren of vendors at the Bay Street Market. The authority also regrets that it was forced to make the difficult decision to close the nurses station located at the Bay Street Straw Market. The lack of proper professional indemnity insurance, coupled with a lack of certification or authorization from the Public Hospital Authority to operate a de facto clinic in Bay Street Market, were the main matters taken into consideration during the decision-making process. The authority does not have the financial resources or the proper certified staff to adequately maintain a de facto clinic on Bay Street. The SMA has no immediate plans to reopen the nurses station. Speaker, with respect to rents, the accounts department of the authority has no set written policy for the collection of outstanding stall rents or procedure regarding temporary or permanent closure of stalls and revocation of licenses. The main source of income for the SMA is through the collection of rents from vendors located in each of the markets. In this vein, on the 10th of October 2017, the Disciplinary Committee of the Authority issued a notice to all vendors. The Credit and Collection sections of the Accounts Department has entered into approximately 127 agreements with vendors in relation to outstanding stall rent. The terms of the agreements vary slightly, but generally provide for weekly payments to give vendors the opportunity to liquidate their indebtedness over a period of time. The authority continues to encourage all vendors to regularize their accounts and to ensure that their business license and NIB contributions are up to date. Mr. Speaker, I recently met with the leadership of the various vendor groups in all of the markets. They have expressed their concern with respect to the weekly rent of $37.50 that they pay to the authority, and about the competition that they receive from vendors at Festival Place, who ought not to be selling the items that are sold in the straw market. The competition issue will have to be resolved, sir. With respect to NIB and VAT, there's a significant discrepancy between what the books and records of the authority reflect as outstanding to NIB and what NIB's records reflect as owing from the straw market. Accordingly, the authority is presently conducting an internal audit of its NIB contributions and has been in contact with representatives of NIB during this process. We hope to be in a position shortly to regularize our outstanding debt with NIB. Speaker, this is yet another exemplary board. I commend Chair Kelly Ingram and members of her board. They have met issues that they would never have anticipated, and they have dealt with them in an exemplary manner. Their public service is greatly appreciated. I now turn, sir, to the Bridge Authority. 2018 operating budget of the Bridge Authority makes provision for the sums for the funding of the pension plan and for ongoing staff training and customer service. In the capital budget, allocations to fund the e-tolling project, the outside plant initiatives, the remedial works to the toll plaza and the bridge infrastructure, the striping of the Sydney-Poitier Bridge, restoration of the toll plaza canopy, restoration of the toll booths, and replacing the fuel torch type are being made. During the past year, the bridge toll income was $9,905,174, which was an increase of $2,242,989, or 29.27% compared with the previous year. Income from leases totaled $63,650, a decrease of $7,500, or 11% compared to the previous year. The latter represents revenue derived from the seabed lease to the Hurricane Hole Marina, cable conduits to Cable Bahamas Limited, and canopy facade rental to Diamonds International. Operating expenses were $5,531,112.06, an increase of $471,948.06, or 9.33% compared to the previous year. Net profit was $4,374,062, an increase of $1,624,097, or 59.06% compared to the previous year. Cash position at year's end was $12,124,000, an increase of $353,864, or 3.01% compared with the previous year. Bahamas government registered stock holdings stood at $8,363,171, an increase of $3,070,271, or 58% compared to the previous year. The Bridge Authority's long-term debt stands at $29 million in bonds payable at varying maturity dates of 2019, 2024, 2029, 2034, and they remain unchanged compared to the previous year. Bond interest cost was $1,673,700, $652, a decrease of $6,640, or 0.4% compared to the previous year. Fixed assets of $5,848,070, an increase of $1,079,652, which represents capitalization of the works related to the East Paradise Island Bridge rehabilitation, which was completed in May 2017 under the former administration. Interest income increased by $93,613, or 20% over the previous year. Mr. Speaker, upon coming to office in July 2017, the board embarked on a review to correct deficiencies in the organization of the authority in terms of its focus and its ability to deliver results. It was immediately apparent that insufficient attention was being given to the organization, facilities and infrastructure, and to key outside relationships. Notwithstanding the rehabilitative works being carried out on the East Paradise Island Bridge, for which I commend the former administration, and other aspects of the facilities were in urgent need of attention and were showing obvious signs of wear and appearing derelict and distressed. Areas that particularly stood out were the fender systems that guard the piers in the channel that runs under both East and the Sydney Poitier bridges, the accumulation of debris and hazardous materials around the piers of the bridge on the western side of Porter's Key, the tie-up of derelict commercial boats to the piers on Nassau side of the Sydney Poitier Bridge, the fading of lane markings and traffic management signage on both of the bridges, the smogginess of the toll booths and the toll administration building due to the lack of regular washing and painting, the unchecked level of rusting of the canopy and its beams, which had no recent treatment against the marine elements, the state of disrepair to the interior of the toll booths, notwithstanding the major works carried out in 2013 to construct the new toll administration building, the accumulation of trash and debris from the Ferry Boat Association and other vendors who operate under the Sydney Poitier Bridge at Paradise Island, supplying their wares and services to tourists, the leaking fuel tank and the standby generator that poses a danger to the facilities and neighboring Atlantis property, and the crumbling asphalt and the growing number of potholes in the roadway situated between the toll gates and the Atlantis roadway. Speaker, having assessed the facilities and infrastructure, the authority has compiled a series of projects that are already being commenced so as to correct these and other deficiencies. For years, sir, the Ferry Boat Association has operated its business for the Bridge Authority's premises. The authority is now in the process of working with them to ensure that going forward, there's going to be accountability. Sir, the authority remains committed to and engaged in the ongoing development of the staff with a view to improving customer service. To this end, they have begun a process of total staff retraining in September 2017, and will continue this process until June 2018. By that time, every staff member will have participated. Mr. Speaker, to their credit, members opposite during their tenure in office engaged in an exercise to rehabilitate the East Paradise Island Bridge. That work, as I indicated, was completed during May 2017, and the certificate of practical completion was issued. There's a 12-month defects liability period that we are progressing through, and this month the authority will engage in a review with the contractor, Island Site Development, to identify and correct any defects that may come to light. One aspect of the rehabilitation of the East Paradise Island Bridge was the implementation of a weight measurement system called a weigh and motion system. The objectives for putting this system in place are to monitor and manage the flow of overweight vehicles transiting the bridge, East Paradise Island Bridge. The system has been installed and control was turned over to the Bridge Authority in December 2017. However, there are significant deficiencies that require additional undertakings if the objectives are to be realized. These undertakings include creating an enforcement regime to discourage overweight vehicles from transiting the bridge by levying penalties on the vehicle owners, a mechanism for integrating the weigh and motion system with the toll system to create an efficient means of collecting penalties levied and user-friendly interface to enable effective monitoring and reporting. Mr. Speaker, the Bridge Authority's e-tolling project is well underway as we push towards live testing in the second quarter of 2018. The new equipment that is required has been ordered and should be on premises shortly, configuration to follow soon. Once the installation and testing have been completed successfully, the authority will move into the public education and promotion aspects of the project while realigning and streamlining the operational processes. Speaker, a number of opportunities for increasing revenue arise. Three interesting ones are as follows. First, the interest in real estate to erect digital advertising platforms seems to be gathering steam in the community. For some time now, the Bridge Authority has been dialoguing with various interested parties about using some of the Bridge Authority's physical space for such commercial purposes. At this moment, the authority has several proposals that will be given consideration with a view to selecting one of them. Secondly, in 2000, the Bridge Authority signed a lease with Paradise Island Marina Developments Limited for a 15-year lease of seabed around the East Paradise Island Bridge. This lease has since expired. At this writing, the Bridge Authority is considering a new multi-year lease agreement with the new owners of the Hurricane Hole Marina property. And third, the agreement between Diamonds International and the Bridge Authority for the leasing of the toll plaza canopy facade expired in December 2017. The authority has proposed a month-to-month arrangement for the short term as it realigns its leasing focus. Speaker, the authority has taken the bold step to address the leadership weakness, which is a critical first step in creating the kind of culture that will lead to the good corporate governance that is so much needed. The culture sets the tone for the environment at large and is manifested in the way the workplace operates and the way surrounding environment is cared for. And I heard the member for St. Barnabas speak about something very similar this morning. For too long, sir, work processes have remained weak, leading to substandard services and the deterioration in the upkeep of the physical environment. The authority is immediately arresting deficiencies in the work environment and the inattention given to the physical environment. Over the coming days, the impact will begin to take shape and will be recognizable all around. Therefore, sir, as we progress through 2018, the Bridge Authority will be working very intentionally to strengthen this fine organization and will focus heavily on those metrics that will deliver efficiency to the operation, care for its environments and infrastructure, and ensure that revenue is preserved for the good of the commitments that we have made to the various stakeholders. So I commend Chairman Greg Bonamy and his board for their diligence in ensuring that so many critical issues have been dealt with. Speaker, I now briefly speak on the Town Planning Committee. The committee inherited a considerable backlog of applications, which they have steadily been working through by holding weekly meetings and by the streamlining of some of the applications and the decision process. Town Planning, Department of Physical Planning, and the Ministry of Works. It must be emphasized that none of the committee's progress would have been possible without the dedication and extraordinary work of the officers of the Department of Physical Planning. The committee's goal is to guide transparently and expeditiously the planning of towns and communities throughout the Bahamas so that it protects and conserves the natural and cultural heritage of our country and furthers the welfare of current and future residents by creating physical, social, ecological, and economic environments that are convenient, helpful, equitable, efficient, and attractive. In this respect, sir, they have adopted a strategy that seeks to, 1, improve the expediency of applications to town planning, which we all would like to see. 2, improve the ease of doing business with respect to town planning. Third, improve the World Bank's ranking of the Bahamas in dealing with construction permits. Fourth, improve the World Bank's ranking of the Bahamas in starting a business with respect to business license, land use, and town planning. Fifth, seek to decrease building permit fees. Sixth, continue to enhance the credibility of the committee and the planning process. Seven, improve communications between the committee and applicants. Eight, address the challenges raised by the continuing migration to southwestern New Providence. And also, clarify the authority of town committees, district councils, and the Family Islands, and liaise with the ministry to seek to address the staffing needs at the senior level of the Department of Physical Planning. In this process, Mr. Speaker, the committee will, among other things, seek to implement electronic application submissions with all town planning applications, thus increasing efficiency and decreasing overall processing costs. Seek to change the construction application process from sequential to concurrent processing, thus increasing efficiency and also decreasing overall processing costs. Require email addresses on applications to allow for electronic communication with applicants. Seek to require site plan approval from physical planning for commercial applications prior to civil design review, which would avoid the potential of loss of unnecessary process time with civil design, and also increase efficiency and decrease overall processing costs. Speaker, they will seek to adhere strictly to the Town Planning and Subdivision Act 2010 to promote integrity and transparency. They also wish to update the land use plan for southwestern New Providence to reflect the continuing migration to that area and to allow revised land use planning. Speaker, they also seek to have government conduct a comprehensive traffic impact study southwestern New Providence to address the number of commercial developments approved and planned for that area and support the standardization of the town planning process in the Family Islands. Speaker, there are a number of development control and concerns, and the committee is looking at a number of criteria that may be relevant, including the adequacy of utilities and services, the number, the width, and the location of roads, proposed gauge, grades, and elevation of roads, adequacy of those roads, and with migration in New Providence continuing west, coupled with renewed investor confidence in government, construction in that area is flourishing. Numerous developments in the southwest have recently been approved or are in the initial stages of pre-development design. This burst of expansion without careful planning challenges one of the committee's principal mandates, which is the health, safety, convenience, and welfare of present and future inhabitants, and a coordinated planning of surrounding lands to ensure compatibility of proposed road patterns with surrounding neighborhoods. Speaker, additionally, the committee has requested numerous traffic studies, but those studies in isolation for various developments do not reference each other. And so they cannot accurately measure the total combined impact of the developments and traffic conditions in the West, or even in each of other areas. And that is why they are suggesting a comprehensive plan. Speaker, there are some internal challenges the Ministry of Public Works that the committee faces, and we shall seek to work with them to effect improvements so as to improve efficiency. And I shall speak to some of those when I touch on building controls, division of my ministry, when the budget debate comes up in a few months. Speaker, I conclude this portion of my contribution by advising that the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board has finally been appointed. The act was passed some 7 years ago, but for some reason this critical board was never appointed. Accordingly, persons who were aggrieved by decision of the Town Planning Committee had to seek recourse in the courts with the attendant delays and costs associated with litigation. With the appointment of the Appeal Board, this will no longer be the case. I therefore wish Chairman Pericles Melis and board members Claire Hepburn, Roosevelt Wims, Lloyd Turnquest, Patrick Ramming, Cassirina McKinney-Lambert, and Stephen Melvin, all the very best as they seek to untangle many of the challenges that face them. Speaker, this is a good opportunity for me to focus on BPL. Bahamas Power and Light Company is a wholly owned subsidiary of Bahamas Electricity Corporation and operates as the provider of electricity across the Bahamas, with the exception of Grand Bahama. BPL is licensed under the Utilities Regulation and Competition Authority, better known as ERCA. And BPL previously served under the Management Services Agreement with Power Secure until August 2017. Now a new board of directors consisting of Chairman Darnell Osborne, Deputy Chair Patrick Rollins, and members Perron Bethel, Nicola Thompson, and Whitney Hasty lead the company. I wish to give notice, sir, that Engineer Nick Dean has also recently been appointed to the board. He now serves as CEO, and Mrs. Christina Alston, who the member for North Abaco spoke of this morning, has joined BPL as Chief Operating Officer. For this fiscal year, sir, the main objectives of BPL are to enhance the safety culture, to improve delivery of customer service, and to improve the reliability of service, particularly during the summer months. In this respect, I wish to apologize to the residents of Abaco. Excuse me. Speaker, I wish to apologize to the residents of Abaco. They have been long suffering. Long power cuts year after year for 2 decades is too much to bear. The Wilson City Power Plant is capable of producing twice the amount of power that the entire island needs. But so many issues have impacted its reliability. In a few minutes, sir, I will speak to the actions that we will take to seek to ensure that the power supply is more reliable in Abaco and in several other islands. Before I do so, sir, I want to touch on the executive summary. Speaker, Bahama is now making monthly payments averaging $1.4 million, and their account remains in the current status since settling their long outstanding $34 million in receivables, ensuring that they are held to the same level of accountability and responsibility as all of our customers. That is, they make payments within 45 days with no exemptions for politicians. BPL has executed an engagement letter with Credit Suisse for the provision of interim financing. We expect to be able to apply funds to improve generation, transmission and distribution, and in developing the automated metering infrastructure. Once that infrastructure is put in place, consumers will be able to pay as they go, and BPL will no longer have to expend time and resources disconnecting and chasing down consumers who run up huge bills and then fail to pay. Speaker, the AMI is also important because BPL cannot tell when you are having outages. And the member for Pinewood sent me an email, text a few days ago, and complained about outages in that community. And I was very grateful that he did, because when I checked with BPL, they didn't know. So once they put this infrastructure in, they are going to be able to tell when and where you have outages, and that's going to improve the efficiency of service for all of us. Speaker, BPL is seeking to make better use of its assets. Accordingly, approximately $22 million of the Seeking Fund money that under Power Secure was placed on fixed deposits, earning from 0.5% to 1% interest annually, are now placed in the Bahamas government registered stock, yielding between 3.1% and 4.5%, which amounts to approximately $600,000 semi-annually. This is a huge difference between the progressive leadership that we have now and what we had at BPL and the members is opposite. Speaker, BPL has also restructured its bonds so that the existing loans that are secured by government guarantee are intended to be paid from rate reduction bonds, for which the mechanism will be put in place during the second quarter of this year. Several world-class financial institutions have expressed their interest in participating in the process. And I have to give notice now, Mr. Speaker, that I will shortly have to come here to make more amendments to the Rate Reduction Bond Act and the Electricity Act to ensure that they can be effective in doing what they were intended to do when members opposite had the vision to put it in place. Speaker, BPL has also restructured its bonds so that the existing loans that are secured by the government guarantee, I already said that. Speak about operations, sir. Preparations are on the way to ensure that BPL is ready for the summer season in order to meet the peak demand. The islands of Bimini, Abaco, Exuma, and New Providence will be targeted for special attention before June. However, I hasten to advise that generation capacity audits are being conducted on all family islands and will be completed by the end of this month. Bimini and other islands may require backup generation during the summer, and accordingly a transmission and distribution evaluation was conducted in both Bimini and Abaco. We want to ensure that BPL is at its best this summer. In Abaco, BPL will seek to achieve three main objectives. First, we seek to upgrade the cooling water system. This will be a major change, as they will then be able to utilize above-ground motors instead of the submersibles that caused so many problems and left the island without power frequently in recent times. Secondly, it will improve the power supply to the Keys by adding an additional submarine cable that will be buried so as to avoid the complications with the current cable that is consistently cut by motorboats, by speedboats. Third, they will install a new transformer and a voltage regulator so as to improve the low voltage issues that plague North Abaco. Mr. Speaker, before I move on to discuss the other islands, it is critical that I echo the member for North Abaco and what he said this morning, is that I discuss the shanty towns from the perspective of BPL, the Water and Sewage Corporation, and the Ministry of Public Works. Speaker, during my recent visit to Abaco, I was shocked to see the extent of lawlessness that exists in the mud community. The government has pledged to the Bahamian people that we will end shanty towns, and only a perverse mind will challenge us on the importance of that resolve. We must have an ordered society, Mr. Speaker, where all residents abide by the law. There cannot be one law for most of us and then total enemy for a select group. Just consider, sir, we have a building code to protect us, and all construction must comply with that so that our communities can be safe and not wiped out by hurricanes. And that's one of the challenges we face in the family islands, where we have not complied with building codes, and unfortunately our people have suffered. Secondly, the relaxation of sanitation standards could cause widespread illnesses and death throughout our country. And third, sir, illegal utility connections are unsafe. Mr. Speaker, my public comments on this issue due criticism from a self-anointed shantytown evangelist who issued a press release and said, and I quote my comments, I quote, typify the visceral hatred and discrimination that forms part of the general Bahamian psyche. Mr. Speaker, it is regrettable that anyone would seek to label our peaceful and loving Bahamian people as prejudiced and hateful, and to label me as prejudiced simply because I want law and order to prevail in this country. Speaker, I invite that person to reconsider his comments. The mud is a dangerous place for the people who live there and for the community at large. The environment is unhealthy for children and adults alike. And the ad hoc construction and stealing of electricity and water cannot be tolerated any longer. Speaker, I would have seen this in the newspapers this morning. These are the type of generators that are placed illegally throughout that community. There's only 2 of them. To put it in perspective, sir, those generators alone, those 2 alone, that's only 2 of them, deliver more than enough power to provide electricity to Moores Island, Crooked Island, Acklands, Ragged Island, Megwater, and Rumkey.
Combined.
Yes. Their very existence in the community is illegal. They are stealing much needed revenue from BPL and hence from the Bahamian people. The setting up and operating of those generators have created connections. I think you will see in this in the papers, something like this in the papers too.
Electrical nightmare.
They have created connections that are dangerous and likely to cause fires and death. And worst of all, they're set up by individuals. They're set up by individuals who are taking advantage of the people who live in those communities by charging exorbitant rates to them for those illegal hookups. Speaker, additionally, illegal connections to water lines have been a major concern with respect to non-revenue water. And holes in the ground serve as makeshift toilets, pose serious sanitation risks. Mr. Speaker, I invite the critics to champion the poor, legal residents in those communities who are exploited by greedy individuals who take advantage of them. I encourage them to work with the government so that they can help those legal residents find decent housing in which they can raise their families in a clean and healthy environment. I encourage them to use their immense influence to assist in identifying the criminals who enrich themselves by exploiting and endangering lives through the creation of illegal power plants, such as the one that I showed you. Together, sir, well-intentioned Bahamians can achieve much good, notwithstanding the nasty personal comments about me and the insulting characterization of the Bahamian people. I expect all who care to help us and help all of the legal residents in those shanty towns, especially the children. But so with or without their help, under the leadership of the Prime Minister, the FNM government is still resolved that in the Bahamas will not become another Haiti. We shall get rid of those shanty towns. And on behalf of BPL, sir, I once again express my concerns about illegal power generation and the danger and the risks that it causes. On behalf of the Ministry of Works, I express my concerns about compliance with building codes. On behalf of the Water and Sewage Corporation, I express my concerns about the illegal water connections, the poor sanitation and safety in general. But I know my Prime Minister is committed to changing it, and the shanty towns will go so. Speaker, in Bimini, in Exuma, Mr. Speaker, BPL will complete the winter overhaul process on the 4 engines that are there. The member for Garden Hills will be happy to hear that in Exuma Keys, BPL will order cable, submarine transmission between Black Point and Staniel Key, and will also order a 1,250 kilowatt genset. Let me say that. A 1,250 kilowatt genset for Black Point, so as to replace the 400 kilowatt genset that is there currently, but it's too small to service the keys appropriately.
One meg you will put in it.
So, Mr. Speaker, the power in Exuma keys will be upgraded significantly. Mr. Speaker, in Bimini, BPL will add temporary generation to supplement the base load for peaking. Speaker, in Bimini, BPL will add temporary generation to supplement the base load for peaking and effect upgrades to the overhead lines by increasing the size of the wire to enable transmission of more power. The poles have been ordered and they're on their way, and that's the only thing that's holding us up now, Western, before you get your appropriate wiring in Bimini. Mr. Speaker, in Inagua, the distribution system has been fully rebuilt since the passing of Hurricane Irma last year. One generator that's failed has been replaced. A replacement is currently being requisitioned for a second unit, because that second unit is very old, and a third replacement is being ordered for the third unit, which should arrive by the end of March. I told a story, Mr. Speaker, when I went to Inagua, and they were running a hose over the generator to keep it cool, because the generators were overheating. They were old generators, and Inagua didn't have sufficient generation. Inagua is going to have the generation that it needs, Mr. Speaker. Speaker, in Ragged Island, the distribution system has been fully rebuilt since the passing of Hurricane Irma last year. Ragged Island previously had 3 generators. One of those generators is now fully operational. About 50% of the consumers have been reconnected as they are able to be reconnected safely. Their homes have to be safe in order to be reconnected. And BPL has provided the expertise for electricians who will do what BPL would not normally do to homes. They will actually ensure that the home is wired safely. Mr. Speaker, so that 400 kilowatt engine is currently in operation, and that is currently sufficient to power the entire island. However, a second engine is now being overhauled in Exuma, and that should be returned to Ragged Island by the end of this month. A third engine has been condemned, and that will be replaced, Mr. Speaker. So we will get Ragged Island another new generator to ensure that there's a redundancy of power on the island. With generation back up and running, Mr. Speaker, the government will now be able to budget to rebuild the administrative office, the government clinic, and the school, so that public service employees can be returned to the island to live and work in some degree of comfort, some degree of safety, and in a healthy environment, and the police station. Mr. Speaker, an amazing amount of work
Ask Wayne Monroe.
has also been done in New Providence. At the Clifton Pier Power Station, BPL seeks to ensure stability amidst growing demands. Accordingly, BPL has overhauled a number of generators and taken preventative action, and will continue to overhaul others to ensure that they are able to meet the rising system demand. A new control system for 2 of the generators was purchased and factory tested. It is planned to install the unit during the major overhaul between April 16 and June 3rd of this year. The new system will replace an obsolete 28-year-old control system and will reduce the potential possibility of extended outages due to this control system malfunctioning. A new cooling water pipe upgrade is also planned for April 16th to June 16th of this year. And this will eliminate water leaks and reduce the potential for outages due to cooling water pipe failures. Finally, sir, 4 new heavy fuel oil separators have been installed and are expected to be fully commissioned this month. The new units will improve fuel quality, reduce waste, and reduce engine wear.
Fix it, man.
Mr. Speaker, at the Blue Hills Power Station, one critical generator is currently under major inspection. The work is expected to be completed by April 26. The leases on the 80 megawatts of rental units have been extended at a savings of in excess of $5 million to the Bahamian people. And their use will be further extended to ensure reliability during the peak summer demand. Moreover, sir, both the waste heat recovery steam generators and the steam turbine were completed in January, and now the unit is being test run. Once fully commissioned, the turbine will provide 15 megawatts of power from waste heat. And finally, sir, 2 additional deep well cooling pumps for the steam turbine condenser were purchased and will be installed by April 7th to increase the capacity of this turbine to 19 megawatts. Excuse me. Speaker, last year, BPL introduced several RFPs for additional generation. These matters will be finalized shortly, and I shall advise Parliament accordingly. Finally, sir, I wish to advise that the implementation of the small-scale renewable generation program has commenced. This allows residential and small commercial customers to officially join a program that supports renewable energy generation with a grid connection and credit for the energy that they send back to the grid. Currently, there are 9 online commercial systems with a total installed capacity of approximately 398 kilowatts. There are 32 online residential systems with a total installed capacity of approximately 189 kilowatts. There are additional 5 commercial applications that have been approved in principle and are moving through their installation and inspection process. Mr. Speaker, I want to speak to the importance of that inspection process, because if BPL doesn't do it, and if you put something up there that could send power back to the grid, and it's not properly installed, it could cause problems for all of us. So it is critical that BPL inspects that. It is critical that BPL approves it. There are an additional 18 residential applicants that have been approved in principle and are moving through the installation and inspection process. And Mr. Speaker, we encourage Bahamians to invest in renewable energy for their homes and their businesses, as all of these customers are able to receive credit for the energy that they return to the grid. Speaker, BPL continues to work with the government on renewable energy projects for the National Stadium and for the Anatole Rogers School. Speaker, I now touch briefly on the Water and Sewage Corporation.
Oh, boy.
Speaker, I note, sir, that litigation is being threatened, and so I will be brief. Let me say, sir, that Ernst & Young audit is a process that enhances accountability. The Water and Sewage Corporation is a national asset. It must perform efficiently in the best interest of the Bahamian people. Anyone, sir, who alleges that an international accounting firm with the reputation, skill, experience of Ernst & Young is on a witch hunt seriously underestimates the intelligence of the Bahamian people. Speaker, the real witch hunts are exposed in the report, which shows that the corporation was operated like a branch of the PLP. How else could one explain the email from Audley Hanna to both the former Prime Minister and Deputy Prime Minister, in which he said, and I quote, In a previous email to me, I said that we need to deal with these F&M cronies in water and sewage. Mr. Speaker, the fact is that the audit was long overdue, and politicians will have to appreciate.
This chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador.
The member suggests that water and sewage was the
Run like a branch.
running the branch of the PLP.
Not suggestions.
Right, that's what he said, right? And that is borne out by the report. I dare say that is much of a reach.
I'll withdraw it.
It is much of a reach for him to say that, and I'll ask him to withdraw it. The fact that a member of the board expresses his particular view, and that view was grounded in an observation made as a result of a complaint that was made to him, and in fact, the letter that grounds the complaint is also exhibited in the report.
Speaker,
Yes,
I'm
chair
going to
rec-
withdraw that. It was not run as well as the branch of the PLP. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, the fact is that the audit was long overdue, and we as politicians, all of us as politicians will have to appreciate that the Bahamian people in the future will demand that we operate these entities efficiently and in the best interest of the country. We will all have to be accountable, and we will all have to be transparent. Speaker, let me say this. I would never, Mr. Speaker, personally have inserted information with respect to the obituary of the mother of the member for Cat Island in the exhibits. However, Mr. Speaker, it was not for me, Speaker, it was not for me to interfere with the work of an international accounting firm. Had I done otherwise, I would now have been accused of tampering. And so I left their work as it is. It can be exposed if there's something wrong with it, if there's something that they made a mistake with. It's there for all of us to see. But by the same token, there's much in that report that we all have to look at, and we all have to seriously take into consideration.
Yep.
Mr. Speaker, no Bahamian should overlook the fact that so far we've spent $18.3 million on a project that was budgeted for $9.6 million. And the project still remains unfinished. We're all going to have to pay for that. And the Bahamian people need to know who was it who brazenly authorized the payment of millions of dollars of their money to people who were not entitled to it. Cat Island says it wasn't him. I believe it wasn't him. It wasn't him. It was not Cat Island, Mr. Speaker. There were, Mr. Speaker, there were very few people who had the power to do that. Very few people. And every Bahamian, no matter what their political loyalty may be, ought to be interested in helping us find the answer to that question. Speaker, on another matter, much has been made. Mr. Speaker, Mr. Speaker, much has been made of the name Marlene Poitier appearing in that report. I know Marlene, and I know she would never purposely be a party to anything that is wrong. However, those who would have caused her to be in a vulnerable position need to come forward and say so. If that company is sued, she faces liability that someone so decent will never face. Additionally, sir, during this debate, the member for Cat Island also touched on the fact that the company NID had its officers at Commonwealth Law Advocates. And in the process, he mentioned the name Ruth Bodawal. Commonwealth Law Advocates is a firm that I started after I walked away from a law firm that caused me great distress. In 2007, when I entered public life, I left Commonwealth Law Advocates in the able hands of Mrs. Ruth Bodawal, an outstanding professional. The first company, that company first became a client of Commonwealth Law Advocates some 5 years after I left. So I have nothing to do with it. However, I stand by the integrity of Mrs. Bodawal. I want to repeat that. I stand by the integrity of Mrs. Bodawal. She would have had nothing with, and Mr. Speaker, I want to make it clear that Cat Island did not make any that was negative. I'm just making sure I clear that. I stand by the integrity of Mrs. Bodawal. She would have had nothing whatsoever to do with the operations of that company, nor would she have received any benefits other than her normal legal fees. I know Ruth, and I can swear to that. Finally, Mr. Speaker, no Bahamian should take lightly to a politician directing the corporation to discontinue a disconnection exercise until after an election was completed, as was done at the Water and Sewage Corporation. And Mr. Speaker, how could anyone be so arrogant to say that auditors have no right to question politically led decision-making? That statement and statements like it are why members opposite are where they are today. And the fact that...
Chair recognizes the honourable member for Cat Island, Rumpkins, and Salvador.
No, I don't know.
You want a point of order?
Mr. Speaker. Point of order is that the member spoke about a politically directed order in respect to disconnection in the middle of a campaign, right? In the middle of a campaign of a by-election, right? The complaint I was hearing was that they were being disconnected because of politics. And what the chairman was doing was ensuring that there'll be no blame for disconnecting water because of politics.
Even you couldn't screw up your face to say that properly. I give you a D+ for that.
Speaker, I'm going to have to retain Cat Island, Mr. Speaker.
Yeah.
I'm going to have to retain Cat Island.
He's a good singer. He can be retained by all.
Yes.
And I thank the member for yielding. You know, I thank the member for yielding because he is saying that we ought not to have castigated the auditor for commenting on it because it's politics. It's a double-edged sword. That's why they ought not to have entered into that arena.
If you cut the fellow's electricity off to his FNM, that's wrong.
If you use that argument, then you should turn the entire nation's light on.
Speaker, the quote was, auditors have no right to question politically led decision-making. That statement and statement like it. You didn't say it. You didn't say it. Speaker, I'm not accusing Cat Island of anything in this place today.
No.
It's a good day for you.
That came from someone else.
He's a little touchy.
I don't know why he feels that I'm jumping on him.
Came from someone bigger.
There must be something. There's something else, Cat Island, you want to get off your chest?
Bigger.
Speaker, I don't know.
Bigger and badder.
I don't know if he won't get something.
Bigger and badder.
Speaker.
You have a lot of friends over here.
Speaker. Speaker, that statement and statements like it are the reason why members opposite are where they are today. Speaker, all of us, every one of us in political life, need to distance ourselves from that statement. Politically motivated interference can never again be tolerated in the Bahamas.
Yep.
And we as politicians must appreciate that our actions must be directed to uplifting our people through national development, not petty political tricks. Speaker, we're not elected for that. And this new generation of Bahamians will not tolerate it. Speaker, moving ahead, the corporation will face many challenges. It cannot be business as usual. Cat Allen, I didn't keep interrupting you, you know. Speaker, moving ahead, the corporation will face many challenges. But if you want me to yield, I will sit anytime.
No, don't get it.
Moving ahead, the corporation will face many challenges. It cannot be business as usual. However, we will seek to earn the trust.
When I talk either.
You're deflecting well. Stay ahead of yourself.
Mr. Speaker, we on this side will seek to earn the trust of the Bahamian people and will seek to treat everybody fairly.
Yep.
The witch hunts that were exemplified by Audley Hanna's email ought now to be a thing of the past,
Yes.
a legacy of a failed PLP administration. The Bahamian people will never go back. Speaker, as I am about, Cat Allen, I want you to listen to this because Speaker, I want Cat Allen to listen to this because the Prime Minister says he has many friends on this side. Speaker, as I am about to close this portion of my contribution, this is a good place for me to make an important point about politics. I have no enemies in this place, none, Mr. Speaker. I do not seek to destroy anybody's reputation. And I will never launch a personal attack on any member. My mother's watching. And she would be the first one to chastise me if I did. As I have said on many occasions in this place, outside of politics, the member of Cat Island has been like a brother to me. In this place, both of us advance our views fiercely and fearlessly as advocates for the positions and for the causes that we believe in. He believes in his, I believe in mine. I expect that from him. He expects that from me. As we witnessed in the recently completed debate, no confidence. Many of us on different sides have personal friendships, and I listen to South Andros, personal friendships and alliances on both sides. Some close and very meaningful. And I saw South Andros almost come to tears, Mr. Speaker. I believe we have a duty to send a message throughout the Bahamas that in this place we can be political adversaries without becoming personal enemies. So, Cat Allen, I forgive you for the comments that you made about me during the debate last week. I forgive you.
Get the hands on.
Forgive me, Anderson, forgive me.
Speaker.
Please, man. Please.
Speaker, I leave. No, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, that's all right. I forgive and I forget. I told you and I told Exuma in the presence of the Minister of Health. That's all right. You're forgiven.
Don't do it again.
Mr. Speaker, I leave this topic by thanking the Executive Chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation. I'm sorry he isn't here today, but he's doing an outstanding job. The residents of Long Island, indeed all Bahamians, have a good reason to be proud of him. Speaker, I now turn to Bahamex. Mr. Speaker,
Oh boy.
Bahamex is owned by the Bahamian people.
Oh, boy.
It is our road paving company.
Another hole.
In the current budget, they were provided with $10 million and have engaged in paving works at 22 locations, ramp work at 4 locations, and the installation of speed bumps at 5 locations.
You know of.
Legitimate one.
Bahamix has produced a total of 11,955 tons of asphalt during this period, and revenue of $4,698,949.16, generated from road maintenance work issued by the Ministry of Public Works, materials, supplies of asphalt, rock, and sand to the Ministry of Public Works, cash sales and subcontracted works, as instructed by a civil design section. Bahamix has an ambitious paving schedule, which I shall address shortly. The ability of Bahamix, however, to meet the proposed schedule will be heavily dependent on several factors, and there are 3 of them I want to touch on. The first is the efficiency of the utility companies. As I previously mentioned, Director of Public Works Roach and myself have a scheduled meeting with utilities every Monday morning at 10 a.m. It was anticipated that Farrington Road would have been completed in several weeks. However, we do not intend to do any paving works until such time as the utilities have indicated that they've gone in and completed all of the work that they anticipate will be required in that specific area for the short term. This is to ensure that they do not come in to excavate and weaken the road as soon as it's been paved, as has happened frequently in the past. When I went into Abaco, Mr. Speaker, I was so annoyed that the beautiful road had been paved. There were contracts issued under members opposite. And water and sewage came right there and excavated. We are trying to ensure that that does not happen, Mr. Speaker. Accordingly, sir, the paving of Farrington Road was delayed for weeks as we waited for them to do their excavations. In the future, we shall require them to speed up their response time if we are to meet our ambitious paving schedule. 2, staffing issues. In January of this year, Bahamix reduced its staff complement from 55 to 50 of the conviction of 3 staff members for matters directly related to their employment. 1 other staff member is awaiting trial, and the 5th person was transferred. The loss of this paving crew impacts the ability of Bahamix to work at several locations. However, it has sent a very clear message about government assets. Bahamix will seek to recruit and train a replacement crew. Moreover, ideally, much of our paving should be done at night so as to avoid inconveniencing the public. Regulations and union rules, however, require workers to be compensated at levels that may be unfeasible financially, given current budgetary constraints. In the future, more consideration will have to be given to contractual employment. And thirdly, Mr. Speaker, the condition of the equipment. The Bahamix mobile plant is comprised mostly of aged equipment. The asphalt plant was purchased in 2005 from Almix and is operating on an outdated control and load computer system. The manufacturers of the plant, Almix, have provided very poor technical support. Bahamix is currently seeking assistance from Aztec, the leaders in asphalt plant manufacturing, to replace the computer system. Aztec is currently preparing a quotation for the computer system changeover. This initiative will extend the life of the plant. If Bahamix is to be a viable entity, the mobile plant will have to be replaced by a new asphalt plant over the next 5 years. Speaker, additionally, out of 25 large pieces of heavy equipment, 12 are either not operational or under repair. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, out of 29 large pieces of heavy equipment, 12 are either not operational or under repair. I will not go through the list of those, but those are significant pieces of equipment. Moreover, sir, Bahamix is operating with a limited number of light vehicles for mobilizing its crews to and from the work site. There are 5 aged trucks and 1 cargo van, all with some type of engine problems. It is imperative that we add to the current fleet and make necessary replacements for operational efficiency, as the upkeep and maintenance of these aged vehicles is economically challenging to the operation. Finally, sir, the laboratory continues its daily sampling and testing of the mixed material. However, the testing equipment is being assessed for replacement because of malfunction and age of several items. Moving forward, sir, government will have to make a policy decision to determine whether any true savings are generated by Bahamix and whether the convenience of having its own paving company justifies keeping Bahamix open. If so, we shall have to seek to improve the efficiency of the operation and also invest heavily in equipment as indicated previously. In the current job, Mr. Speaker, paving Farrington Road, several days were lost as a result of equipment failures. Today, a dryer drum malfunctioned, and we have to purchase asphalt from hot mix so that we continue the paving of Farrington Road today. Secondly, sir, the facilities. Since February 2007, the Bahamix operation has been confined to the current office trailers, which are old refurbished mobile offices purchased from two companies, BEC and Legans. Bahamix has outgrown these trailer units and must acquire permanent structure. Yes. And third, staffing. Staffing must be reviewed, inclusive of an assistant manager, an accountant, materials engineer, and a certified mechanic. Mr. Speaker, I close this portion of my contribution by touching on the paving that we plan to utilize Bahamix for during the remainder of this budget year. I want colleagues to know that we do have their requests in hand, but the paving process is not as simple as going out and putting asphalt on the road. Engineers in our civil design section have to complete a number of measurements and complex calculations. They have to consider terrain and soil conditions, utilities, drainage capabilities, traffic volume, the ratio of cars to other types of vehicles, and numerous other factors, including costing, before the paving process can begin. And then the ministry has to determine whether it is within our budget for the current year. Currently, Bahamix has an ambitious paving schedule for the remainder of the budget year, which includes the following projected paving locations. Farrington Road, as I mentioned already, from the six-legged roundabout to Boyd Road. This is being done as we speak. And as I mentioned previously, there were a number of challenges with paving Farrington Road. We also experienced delays when the weather adversely impacted the back paving. A water truck is now being utilized together with some revolutionary dust control methods, and the back paving was redone. Now the job is just about halfway completed, and the projected cost is $728,135.82. 2, East Bay Street from Eastern Bridge to ERA Depute Real Estate, with a projected cost of $587,021.19. 3, Village Road from Montague Circle to the Wolf Road Junction, the projected cost of $396,594. 4, Tonique Williams Darling Highway from Christie Avenue to the New Bethel Roundabout, projected cost $372,288.52. Next, Soldier Road from Bellew Hill Road to Wolf Road, projected cost $1,592,694.30. Then the Eastern Road from East Bay Street Junction to Johnson Road, with an estimated cost of $405,050.79. Culverts Hill, with a projected cost of $474,656.62. Nassau Street from West Bay Street to the roundabout, with a projected cost of $513,336.50. Let me say, sir, that the paving of Nassau Street will depend on the speed with which BPL is able to run a cable along the length of Nassau Street to service the point development. Hence, there will be a considerable amount of trenching on Nassau Street and quite a bit of discomfort for a little while. We also intend to pave West Bay Street from Lake Road to the Old Fort Roundabout. Mr. Speaker,
Better keep it prime minister.
moreover, should funding permit, and I want to emphasize, should funding permit, and should we get full cooperation from the utilities, Bahamix will seek to pave a number of streets in Pinewood Gardens, as well as Vinspin Road during the current budget cycle. I want to emphasize for colleagues that civil design is looking at the roads that you've sent in. And then we will be, in the next schedule, be able to look at your roads. But civil design has to look at them first. Mr. Speaker, a few weeks ago, the member for Angliston requested that I table all contracts for road works recently entered into. I'm pleased to specify all contracts recently entered into. And if she insists when I'm finished, I will be pleased to table all of them all on next occasion that we are in this place. Recently, sir, is a relative term. She did not ask for disclosure of all contracts entered into under the FNM administration. And so I define recently as anything that happened within the last 4 years, from 2014 to 2018. Speaker,
No, you said recently.
and will provide all of us with an idea of all the contracts that were recently entered into. By way of explanation, Mr. Speaker, any contract under $50,000 is at the complete discretion of the minister.
Yep.
But to ensure that the government and hence the Bahamian people get value for money, even these contracts are supposed to be issued on a competitive basis, even though they hardly are. So usually several names are put forward to the minister, and the person whose bid is most attractive is selected. This process is put in place so as to avoid allegations of corruption, since if a contract is negotiated with one individual without any competitive tendering, allegations may easily be made that it is a corrupt transaction and that value for money was not received by the Bahamian people. Speaker, since the FNM came to office, the following road paving related contracts with private vendors other than Bahamix were entered into, and there are 10 of them. First, on 17th of October 2017, Scissors Close off Lumumba Road, Evans Paving Company, $6,277.78. The 17th of October 2017, an unnamed road off Lumumba Road by Evans Paving Company, $8,800. And 24th of November 2017, Lighthouse Fellowship Church of God, TYT Enterprises, $23,235.56. 27th of November 2017, Center Drive and High Street, Southern Shores, $42,111.11. And I can give you a list of these Angliston. 4th of December 2017, miscellaneous roadwork services, including equipment rental, Ambi's patching and maintenance, $40,000. 4th December 2017, miscellaneous roadwork services, including equipment rental, Thompson and Son Trucking and Paving, $40,000. 11 December 2017, provision of Family Island Perma Patch, supply for the Northern Bahamas, Caribbean Paving Solutions, $46,501. 15th of February 2018, provision of Family Island Perma Patch, supply for the Central Bahamas, S&P Industries, $49,967.49. 26th of February 2018, provision of Family Island Perma Patch supply for the Southern Bahamas, Caribbean Paving Solutions, $46,501. And on the 20th of February 2018, pothole patching for Zone 7 in New Providence, Evans Paving, $40,000. No contracts with Hot Mix. Speaker, the following other road paving contracts were negotiated by members opposite when they were in power. Contrary to established public policy, not a single one of them went to tender. Members opposite simply chose the contractor that they wanted and issued a contract to them. And these 9 contracts were shared among 5 contractors. 15th of April 2014, Mayaguana Roads, $5,059. 30th December 2014, portion of Queens Highway Andrews, $7 million, no tender, negotiated. $7,106,801.87. 24th of April 2016, portion of Queens Highway Acklands, $19,470,611.
No tender?
No tender. Court. 9th of January 2015, Dundas Tong and Murphy Tong Abaco, $5,015,506. 1st of September 2015, Central Andrews Roads, $20,611,520.63. 26th of August 2016, Green Turtle Roads, $4,469,363.22. 6th of February 2017, Barnsley Perimeter Roads, $4,843,333.97. 19th of May 2016, Lovely Bay Acklands Road, $7,248,700. $725. 19th of September 2016, Crooked Island Seawall and Carriageway, $12,879,477.71. Mr. Speaker, let me hasten to say that I have nothing against the contractors. The challenge is the abuse of the tendering process. Over $86 million in road contracts were negotiated in a manner that is inconsistent with established public service procedures without any competitive tendering. Speaker, let me say that as a politician, I too would love to evade the tendering process. It can work well for you when you're purchasing goods. When you're looking at services such as building structures and roads, the price should not be sole consideration. Issues such as experience, reliability, and ownership of modern equipment are among intangible factors that the tendering process, as presently configured, does not give sufficient weight to when considering value for money. So, Mr. Speaker, I'm not totally in disagreement with members opposite as to how they proceeded with road paving. $86 million is $86 million.
Yep.
Barnsley, however, is a completely different matter, with over $100 million of unnegotiated contracts that I will deal with at another stage. Mr. Speaker, I close my contribution. By confirming that my ministry fully intends to complete the capital projects that members opposite have started, but were unable to complete prior to demitting office. Reports on those ongoing capital projects will be shared when I discuss the work of our architecture, building surveys, civil design, structural engineer, and project evaluation sections, and when I speak during the budget debate. Mr. Speaker, Carmichael supports the resolution.
Yes. Well done.
The chair recognizes the honourable member for Carolyn Rumkey and San Salvador.
If I may, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable member.
I just wanted to clarify a matter raised in respect to $86 million worth of roadworks that the minister indicated that they are going to continue to see to its end. I'm happy and I wish to express my appreciation for them continuing those works. Right? And Mr. Speaker, what I wish to say is that the member ought to have indicated that in each instance, the technical officers would have advised the minister
Honourable member.
as to value for money, and Mr. Speaker, the minister could have said that each of the contract was approved by the cabinet. And there's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
As many. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Fox Hill.
It is my privilege to rise in this honorable house. Thank you. Mr. Speaker, it is my privilege to rise in the honorable house to contribute to the 2017-2018 midterm budget debate. I do so, sir, on behalf of the wonderful people of the great constituency of Fox Hill, who I have the honor to serve. Mr. Speaker, in addition to my duties as the representative of the people of the historical community of Fox Hill, I am also charged with the responsibility of the chairmanship of the Clifton Heritage Authority. The authority operates under the umbrella of the Office of the Prime Minister. In 2004, Mr. Speaker, an Act of Parliament established the Clifton Heritage Authority specifically to manage and preserve that area known as Clifton Heritage, a national park and historical site once occupied by the Lucayans, Europeans, and Africans. The park was officially opened on the 27th of April, 2009, under the chairmanship of Dr. Jacinta Higgs, and has been open now just shy of 9 years. The task now, Mr. Speaker, is to lead the park out of the devastating ravages inflicted on it, initially by Hurricane Matthew in 2016, and to a lesser extent, Hurricane Irma in 2017. The statute declares, Mr. Speaker, that Clifton Heritage is an inalienable part of the patrimony of the Bahamas, to be held in trust by the Clifton Heritage Authority for the use and benefit of the people of the Bahamas. That is a sacred and awesome trust, Mr. Speaker. If a people don't know and don't remember where they've come from, it is often difficult for them to know where they're going and why. Clifton is one of those places within our archipelago that has the ability to keep us grounded and to point the way forward. For this singular reason, it is of the utmost importance that the park should be developed and operated in the best interest of the Bahamian people. The Act, therefore, sets out distinct and unmistakable directives to steer and drive the development and operation of the park towards its mandated objective. It is very clear what is meant to happen at Clifton. It is also very clear in what direction Clifton should be going. Whilst Clifton is a heritage park, the Act is broad enough to make room for technology, a modern necessity, to be part of the development and operational process. All indications, Mr. Speaker, were that following the official opening of the park in 2009, the development and the operation of the park were indeed moving in the direction mandated by the Act. At least 2 slave ruins had been restored and fortified. A set of books based on the Ministry of Education's curriculum for primary schools, BJC and BGCSE, were developed and printed. And tour guides were trained both locally and abroad in the United States. A long-term plan for the development of the park was established. Whilst not without its challenges, the plans were definitely in full forward motion. The general elections of 2012 brought an end to the F&M's administration of the park. For one reason or another, during the 5-year period between May 2012 and May 2017, the park went through 3 chairmen. In spite of these changes at the helm, Mr. Speaker, the last board formulated a 5-year strategic plan based on developments and operations from 2009 and the overall plan for the park. The scope of the 5-year strategic plan spoke to heritage, preservation, education, archaeological investigation, exploration, and excavation. All of these are good things and firmly in line with the Act. However, Mr. Speaker, in spite of the direction set out in the Act and encapsulated in the 5-year strategic plan, the focus turned more and more towards tours developed around all-terrain vehicles, or ATVs, and other types of motorized vehicles and non-motorized water sport equipment like kayaks, pedal boats, and paddle boards. Clifton, Mr. Speaker, sits on the southern, western, northern end of New Providence. All of that. On the south, to the west, and a piece of the north. The beautiful beaches and vistas lend themselves to other leisure activities outside of the heritage, cultural, and educational pursuits. However, Mr. Speaker, Clifton Heritage Authority is mandated to develop and operate the park for the use and benefit of the people of the Bahamas. This must always be the term of reference for all decisions taken in relation to Clifton Heritage National Park. That is the test, Mr. Speaker, against which all decisions made in relation to Clifton Heritage National Park must be made. The persons who serve with me on Clifton Heritage Authority Board are passionate and hardworking people. They, in this short space of time, have come to hold Clifton Heritage National Park close to their hearts. So as a group, Mr. Speaker, we are led to wonder if this test, that Clifton is there for the benefit of the Bahamian people, is indeed the benchmark against which their decisions are guided. Some activities we met in place at Clifton left us to wonder if, in fact, this was guiding decision-making at Clifton. On the 1st of September 2016, Mr. Speaker, Clifton Heritage National Park signed a contract and a management agreement for an all-terrain vehicle tour through the park. Months ahead of signing this 3-year contract and management agreement, there was cause for concern among the historians and the archaeologists on the board. In spite of the findings of an environmental impact assessment and economic review, a subcommittee of the board, which included historians and archaeologists, registered their concern that such a tour might be detrimental to the park, especially as the draft contract spoke to the vendor marking out and maintaining at its own expense the trails that the ATVs would traverse. And so they set out some restrictions to protect the park. These restrictions included the following. It stated that surrounding vegetation must remain in place, as this helps to provide protection in hurricane and in high winds. This probably was in response to the information that the vendor would be responsible for marking out and maintaining at its own expense the trails that the ATVs would traverse. They also stated that there should be no construction within the vicinity of any existing historic structures. The historians and archaeologists also said that, as was agreed when the ATV tours were to begin, these motorized vehicles were not to be driven within the immediate vicinity of any historic structure within the park. This included the gift shop, which was Mr. Wiley's plantation, the plantation owner, carriage house, and stable. The report also outlined some preservation priorities for the ruins of Clifton, specifically the Great House and kitchen. It had been recommended by a consultant to the Antiquities, Monuments, and Museums Corporation that the columns of the Great House should be fortified. Unfortunately, for a number of reasons, which could have included funding, the columns were not fortified, and the columns were destroyed during Hurricane Matthew. As this report from the historians and archaeologists were dated the 16th of March, and the 3-year contract and management agreement were dated the 1st of September 2016, it appears that their report did not have the weight to prevent the implementation of the ATV tour. Mr. Speaker, the tour was supposed to generate revenue for the park. However, the latest figures by the park's accountants indicates that the park might have lost approximately $33,000 through this venture. We will not have audited accounts until sometime in April or May 2018, because even though the Act mandates that an audit be conducted at the end of each year. No audits have been conducted for 2014, 2015, 2016, and the fiscal year 2017. So what happened, Mr. Speaker, is that 6 of Clifton's staff members were taken out of Clifton's day-to-day work crew and assigned to work for a private company which had a contract with Clifton to operate the ATV tours. Based on the contract, the tour operator was obligated to pay only overtime expenses for Clifton's staff. The staff members' salaries and salary expenses remained a cost to Clifton. Mr. Speaker, when we arrived at Clifton as a board, the ravages of Hurricane Matthew were still very evident. Debris and garbage littered the place. So instead of cleaning up Clifton and doing Clifton's work, 6 of Clifton's employees were looking after the private operation of a contract vendor. And Clifton put it the cost. The board gave directives for the 6 employees to be returned to Clifton. 5 of those employees have now been removed from the operations of the ATV tour operator. 1 person remains with the ATV tour operator, and we are seeking to have him fully removed from Clifton's payroll. Mr. Speaker, Clifton was the subject of some negative press in recent weeks, especially in relation to unsightly garbage and hurricane debris. The debris from 2016. It appears that Clifton might have been more concerned with the effective operations and well-being of a private vendor than with the well-being of Clifton. In September 2017, the gift shop at Clifton was broken into and goods stolen. At this time, Mr. Speaker, Clifton used a private security company. If you have ever visited Clifton, Mr. Speaker, you would know that the gift store is about 30 meters away from the security booth. The security booth, 30 meters away. The gift shop is the old stable house of the plantation, made out of very hardy, strong wood. So to gain access to the gift shop, one would have had to make an ungodly noise, close to rising or waking the dead. However, Mr. Speaker, once Clifton staff arrived at work the next morning, it was at this time that it was discovered that the gift shop had been broken into. During the course of the night, the private security company had absolutely no idea that the gift shop had been broken into, and in fact, they were sitting on the side of the road when Clifton staff arrived to let them know that the gift shop had been broken into. Additionally, Mr. Speaker, across from the security booth, just across the street, less than 30 yards, maybe about 20 yards or so, Clifton kept some beehives. I had just brokered an informal agreement with BAIC to supply them with as much honey as Clifton can supply. Mr. Speaker, either in the dead of night or in broad daylight, 2 of the beehives went missing. Okay. Jamaica. So, Mr. Speaker, I did bring it to the attention of Pinewood, knowing that he is somebody that has an interest in bees. He assured me that he was out of the country and had not seen the beehives. We have put a notice in the newspaper asking whoever has the beehives from Clifton, we want our beehives. We want to be able to supply BAIC with honey. Mr. Speaker, this seemed to have been the order of the day at Clifton. Nobody sees anything. Nobody hears anything. Mr. Speaker, in addition to the ATV tours, another operation was being developed at Clifton, and this operation was set out to provide cruise ship visitors and other visitors with a day at the beach, paddle boarding, beach fun, and culture. Again, Mr. Speaker, this operation was largely being built by Clifton staff, and Clifton assigned 2 of its employees to help to build this private operation. And again, Clifton footed the salaries of the 2 employees. They have now been returned to Clifton's lineup of employees. Mr. Speaker, in 2012, when Dr. Higgs was the chairman of Clifton, Clifton had a staff complement of approximately 20 employees. When we arrived as a board in 2017, Clifton had approximately 51 employees. Yet, Mr. Speaker, Clifton did not have the manpower to clean up after the hurricane or to remove the garbage that had accumulated along the roadways and on the other side of the park, which subjected Clifton to negative press. Mr. Speaker, Clifton receives a subvention from the government each month on the order of about $112,000. $88,000 of that goes to salary. So there should be no way that Clifton would not have the resources to take care of the day-to-day task of the park. Mr. Speaker, Clifton obtains revenue in several ways. The ATV tours should have supplied Clifton with revenues, but unfortunately, the cost of Clifton's employees outnumbered and was larger than any revenue. The cost of Clifton's employee, cost to Clifton, was larger than revenue received from the ATV tours. And so Clifton ended up, in fact, in a way, financing the tour. Wow. Clifton also raises revenue through snorkeling tours. You've heard it discussed quite often that there is oil in the water at Clifton. The Minister of Works has assured me that this will be remedied in short order. And we look forward to that because, Mr. Speaker, Clifton has had to return funds to visitors who, when snorkeling, ended up with oil on their bathing suit and on their body. As a matter of fact, we have just installed a shower so that once guests have finished snorkeling, then they can wash the oil off. But I have every confidence in the Ministry of Works that this vexing situation will finally be remedied, if not in the next several months, certainly by sometime in 2019. Mr. Speaker, I want to turn my attention now to what can we do for Clifton. Clifton somehow went off track, and we have now come up with a plan to relaunch Clifton. Dr. Chris Curry, who was one of the historians on the board, has been tasked with relaunching Clifton, and in this regard, we have planned an extravaganza called Clifton Rising. Clifton will rise again, and it is our hope to raise somewhere around $2.25 million. We are pleased that Ministry of Works has undertaken to repair some of the trails to the tune of $230,000, and this will be a step in the right direction. The trails should have been maintained by the ATV Tour. This hasn't happened, and so that's another loss for Clifton. Mr. Speaker, I want to turn my attention to the Foxville Community Center at this stage. Mr. Speaker, I rise not just as the chairman for Clifton. I rise on behalf of the people of the great constituency of Foxville. Foxville has a community center, the newest and arguably the best in the country. The community center is privately owned, and therefore a lease must be signed in order for the IDB and the government to carry out the programs for which monies have already been allocated.
Really? By who?
The Foxville Community Association.
Only can be one association at a time, eh?
Mr. Speaker, from May 2012 through June, July, August, September, October, November, we have tried as a board to collect the documents that speak to the legal ownership of the community center. It took those long months to obtain, in 2017, thank you, to obtain those documents. And we finally were able to, through the co-chairman, Mr. Maurice Tynes, to deposit those documents in December 2017 with the Attorney General's office. Since that time, Mr. Speaker, we have met with the Office of the Attorney General representative, a representative from National Security, and representatives of people tasked with drawing up such lease. Foxville is supposed to be the pilot program for such lease with community centers, and this particular lease should be a blueprint for all community centers going forward. Mr. Speaker, we met with these representatives from various arms of government. Mr. Maurice Tynes, co-chair, Reverend Dr. Carl Ramming, Mr. Warren Davis, and Ms. Jacqueline Bryce and myself met with these representatives from government. We told them at length what Foxville expected out of the community center, what we expected to see in the lease governing the community center. All of our wishes and aspirations were outlined. And these are the things that we expect to see included in a draft lease, which should then be returned to the Community Center Board for their review and comment. Mr. Speaker, I am advised that the lease is in its final stages and that a draft will shortly be available for review by the committee. Mr. Speaker, there is no way that the government cannot be involved in the ongoing operation of the community center, having spent in excess of $11 million in the renovation and build up of the Foxville Community Center.
Who owns it?
So, Mr. Speaker, when we hear in the news that the electricity is off, when we hear in the news that services are not on, this is nothing new. When we walked into, when the FNM won the government in 2017, the community center and its programs were already well underway. So even if the FNM had not won the government, all the things that we are talking about should have been in place, and they were not in place. So I don't see how it would have been different had the other side won, except maybe that the other side would have had, well, they don't need to do us any favor. So the longer these documents were not available, the more time people had to become very dissatisfied with the fact that the community center has certain services that are not operational. And I live this every day, Mr. Speaker. I live in my constituency. I don't visit there. I live there. I go to church there. So I hear it every day. And I can say that the board has finally, in December, turned over all the documents to the government, and we expect a draft lease in short order so that the community center can be all the things that it needs to be for Fox Hill.
In better hands now.
Mr. Speaker, we will be debating the substantive budget in a few months' time. At that time, we will certainly be able to and will lay on the table all of the details. I want to take this opportunity to spend some time talking to my Fox Hill people. I want to congratulate Mrs. Gwendolyn Clark, who celebrated her 104th birthday on the 4th of February. Hardly. Mr. Speaker, we wished her happy birthday and we wished her many more. And she said, no, thank you. She said she's had enough and she's ready to go home. And Mr. Speaker, they have a joke. They tell me that every day you visit we call her Ma Gwen. Every day you visit Ma Gwen, you lose a year of your own life, and Ma Gwen gains another year of her life. We love Ma Gwen. I'd also like to extend congratulations to Reverend Dr. J. Carl Ramming of St. Paul's Baptist Church on Burnett Road, Fox Hill, on the occasion of his consecration to the high office of bishop. This service will be held tomorrow at 7 p.m. Reverend Dr. Ramming is known as the mayor of Fox Hill and is involved in every aspect of life in Fox Hill, including the community center. I would also like to congratulate Reverend Sabrina Pinder on her first anniversary as pastor of St. Mark's Native Baptist Church. I'd like to also congratulate the students and teachers of Doris Johnson Senior High School Science Department for winning the Science Extravaganza. And to the coach and members of the junior boys team at Doris Johnson who won the Christian Heritage Basketball Tournament. So you can see the schools in Fox Hill are doing very well. We often don't think of St. Augustine's as being in Fox Hill, but they are. And St. Augustine's edged out QC again for the national championship, so congratulations to St. Augustine's. I'm also sending a shout out to Mrs. Esther Cartwright, the principal, and the faculty of Sandlands Primary School. I was absolutely delighted to be the keynote speaker at both the Majority Day Assembly and the Commonwealth Day Assemblies. Fox Hill and Sandlands Primary School are very special to me. Mr. Speaker, we started a mentorship program. As I campaigned in 2017, I met many people on the campaign trail. And one of the people I met was a young man who lives in Eastwood, who had a burning desire to be of use to his community. He wanted to mentor people in financial matters. I also met during my... I also met at that time a little girl who had started her own business at age 7. And I spoke about her in these hallowed halls. I talked about Kanika Ramming, how at age 7, she started her own business. Mr. Speaker, in the budget debate, I talked about how she knew her market. She wanted to sell salty, chips, and cup. That's how she made her lunch money. That's how she made things for school. That's how she bought her books. This is how she helped out her parents by being self-sufficient. And I promised her at that time, if she ever ran low on inventory, we would help her. And so we did. And so we did. Mr. Speaker, the young man and the young lady are now the mentor for little Miss Raming. She is the pilot of this program, and as we announced at Sandilands Primary School, once the pilot is up and running, then we expect to have many more little Miss Raming running their own businesses. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, at Christmas, we made a donation to Sandilands Primary School of $6,500 to begin a junior achievement program. So we are all about empowering young people, and we will not be deterred. We will not be deterred by the noise in the marketplace. We will continue forward, upward, onward, together. Okay. Mr. Speaker, I'd also like to congratulate at this time Mr. Antonius Roberts, another Fox Hillian from the Johnson Road area. He has been honored by the Queen in her New Year's Honors List with an OBE, Order of the British Empire. Mr. Roberts, like most Foxillian, is very concerned about culture, and in this regard, he has donated 100 of his new books to Clifton. The books sell for $40 each, and so immediately that is the $4,000 donation to Clifton. In addition to this, Mr. Roberts has 12 special editions of the Sacred Lady in bronze. They have been sculptured in bronze, and he is donating one to Clifton. That's a donation of close to $40,000. So we thank Mr. Antonius Roberts. Mr. Speaker, I end my contribution by sending out sincere condolences to Mrs. Essie Ferguson and the Ferguson family on the passing of her daughter, Marilyn Ferguson. Marilyn was the mother of Shanique Sands. Shanique Sands was one of those persons killed in December 2013 in the massacre on Freedom Park in Fox Hill. Marilyn had hoped, Mr. Speaker, that those responsible for the death of her daughter would have been brought to justice in her lifetime. Unfortunately, that did not happen. I extend condolences also to Mr. Timothy Brown Capron on the passing of his wife, Ms. Latrell Capron. Mr. Speaker, I actually walked with Mr. Capron to that final meeting with the doctors, which was incredibly sad, as Mrs. Capron was only 37 years old. Mr. Speaker, life is not easy. Life is for the living, and we're here to do what we can to help people on their way. Some people might take it in another way, and some might be discouraged. We will not be discouraged, Mr. Speaker, and we look forward to good things for Fox Hill. The member for Killarney has added Fox Hill to the inner city development list, and so we're looking for good things for that. Thank you. And Fox Hill is also added to the list. Killarney said Fox Hill in 2016, Fox Hill, I love you. And we love you back. So we know you're going to look after us, and we thank you for it. Fox Hill will also be part of the tax-free zone. So Fox Hill, there is something to look forward to, and we know it's by section, and we understand the parameters. Thank you. So, Mr. Speaker, Fox Hill supports the budget, and we look forward to going forward together with Killarney and with the FNM. May God bless Fox Hill. May God bless the Commonwealth of the Bahamas.
As many?
I gotta go myself. I feel close to Fox Hill.
The chair recognizes the honorable member for Pinewood.
Mr. Speaker, I rise by the grace of God for the good of Pinewood and the Commonwealth of the Bahamas. You know, growing up in Foxhill, they used to say last man, best bone. I don't know if that correlates to some special benefit to the Minister of Finance, Minister of Housing, and everybody else, because Pinewood needs some things done. But if that's a wishbone, I'll take that at hand. These are indeed very, very good times, and I must take a moment and support what Foxhill has said, and also to extend my condolences, because I'm a Foxhill boy, and that ain't gonna change, to Mama Essie and everybody else in that regard. But Mr. Speaker, I am compelled not by tradition, not by obligation, not by goading by public sentiments, but by the very marrow of my bone, to dedicate this moment in time to the venting of my personal acclaim for the Reverend Dr. J. Carl Ramming. Matched only by the late Josiah Ramming in leadership and dedication to the community of Foxhill, let the Hansard of this House record for history that the Reverend Dr. J. Carl Ramming is the undisputed Mayor of Foxhill. Let this House record that on March the 20th, 2018, 7 p.m., the now pastor of St. Paul's Baptist Church, Burnett Road, Foxhill, shall be consecrated to the office of Bishop. All members of this House is hereby invited to attend. And I'll take it as a personal favor that you do. I am the son of the house and of the ministry who take pride and acknowledgement of the lifelong service and contributions to mankind according to the measure of faith of Reverend Dr. J. Carl Ramming. I gladly credit his influence to whatsoever things are true, to whatever things are good, to whatever things that are pure, to whatever things are of good report in me, I list to his accomplishment. I also commit that even if our life paths diverge and my life force continue beyond his, that I will keep the honor due his name and protect any legacy I accept charge of. I know his works, the good and the best. But in any season, my respect and love for him is sealed from external contamination. Therefore, to the Reverend Dr. J. Carl Ramming, Rev, congratulations as you add to your 50+ years of service in your ministry. Mr. Speaker, allow me a minute just to touch on my portfolio as it relates to CARICOM. You know, this is my first government job. I'm a very simple man, comfortable with working and living from the gifts of God and the fruits of my hand. And the bees. The non-Clifton bees. I thank the Honorable Prime Minister for his appointment of me and my Minister, the Honorable Darren Hensfield, for his support and mentorship. I gladly call him Big Brother. And I purposely and deliberately state, because see, people don't understand true love. They said, whom you love, you chasten. Not that we have any problems. But I admire being under a man who understands discipline, but compassion. And I'm sure that whatever ups or down may come, because we've always been good, it will accrue, it will inure to my benefit. And my tenure of service in this government will indeed make me a richer and a better man. No, because true richness starts from here. God bless Solomon, he said, because you didn't ask for riches. You asked for wisdom. And I speak to the wisdom that my minister has. I speak and I honor the wisdom that my father has. I probably say I don't want anything my father get, but I would take every drop of experience, good or bad or indifferent, that he would have. Because what it does is a step in his shoes could save me a mile in the wrong direction. I understand true wealth, you know. And even people like Donald Trump, that's why they can lose it and make it again, because money don't make man. Man make money. And I know through decent service that at the end of the day, it will improve and it will inure the greater benefits to me. Mr. Speaker, allow me to give first fruit of acknowledgement to my team and some of the skilled partners that are more than the wind beneath my portfolio. I have to acknowledge because, again, like I said, I don't like government, be quiet. I never did. And I say, not being facetious, had it not been for the PLP, I would not even bother with government. I'm very serious. I don't like it. I don't like politics because every politician has spoiled the Bahamian people, and they are very unreasonable. And I intend to be honest and true. I don't like it. But what I don't like worse, and even worse than pothole, Carmichael, is to sit there and could help and see my country fall. And I would stand up in rags or whatever state I can, and I would throw a blow for my country because I will not sit around and go to my grave knowing that I could have and I didn't. I'm not that kind of person. So let me take this moment to acknowledge, because I have been hearing some good things about CARICOM, but before you think that Reuben is all of that, you got to realize I'm around some skilled people. They're imperfect, but some skilled people. And I acknowledge my ride and die, my personal assistant, Pat Williams. I give thanks to Michael Guy and Erica Ward. I admire the people who I have the ability to tap into, like Mr. Tucker, amazing man. Excuse all the titles, I had a government thing. Deputy PS, Freddie Tucker. Even the access I have to our Director General, Sharon Hiller, our new acting PS, you know, these, Miss Jackson, Rhoda Jackson, Miss Chanel Brown, there are so many people that make it easy for a novice to walk into a sport and be able to function within my calling with the benefit of support of their expertise. And I made a promise a long time ago that I will never rob man of his riches. And the greatest riches is the honor due to somebody's name. That's why a good name is better than. If you do good, Reuben won't hide it from you. But if you do bad, I talk. With that, I want to acknowledge also Mr. Vida Knight, the Honorary Consul in Jamaica, who I've had the pleasure of interacting with, and also that was seconded by our member for South Andrews, who also had interaction with her, and he sees the same thing about her. And why I raised her, because I would take a little excursion into the exploits of Jamaica. Jamaica has about 160 of our children there studying mostly in law and medicine and social sciences. And they study at UB and Mona and also the University, Caribbean University, which is a private liberal arts school. And in February, we had an opportunity to meet with the majority of them, and it was exhilarating. And this is being consistent with the mandate of our Prime Minister, and in a sense also tradition, that we interact with our diaspora. We ensure that the people understand the vision of their country, and they see the candle in the window saying, "You may come home." So wherever I go, I must also represent what and who we are. And interacting with them, they raised a few concerns, which I'm sure they probably shared with their parents. Some of them was related to security matters in that regard, and I'm pleased to acknowledge that the following day we were able to raise those security concerns with the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Prime Minister of Jamaica in that regard as relate to issues that was happening around the campus. And we were also able to thank them for their duty of care to our students thus far, whilst admonishing them to keep a vigilant eye and escalate security as need be to protect our precious pearls within their care. The students also have a duty of care, as I would have articulated to them, that you're students and you're out there for the experience. That's a part of life. Learn to fix it up, wear it out, make it do it out. And so in addressing some of their concerns and the tasks that we would assign to them, they had been admonished that to copy my office as it relate to their concerns that they would have documented, so we can keep an eye out and we can advise them. I believe in personal responsibility, and I advise them, for example, that listen here, you are a striving people that anyone would want on their campus. The glory of your name and what you bring to the campus is a bargaining tool. Be of such value that when you speak, the administration will say, "Oh, we don't want these set to go." Stand up and practice what you're learning in leadership, and then know this, that you have a country that supports you in all your responsible endeavors. As it relates to raise a matter of culture, it is with pleasure that I report, as promised on their behalf, that our student has three-peated. I say, you only hear the junkie music coming up here? Has three-peated. That means they came first 3 times in the Mona Campus Cultural Fest performing Junkanoo, and they did it back to back. Now, they didn't say Sax in the Valley, and they were very, very proud, and that's something we should all be proud of. You see, sometimes you need to bring it home. When you go to certain relays in our stadium and the Jamaican team there, sometimes I see more Jamaican flags than Bahamian flags. And I say this to say that they are in the heart of a culture that is steep and proud of their tradition. And to be there and represent so strongly gives me pride to know that our children are like warriors out there that represent us. However, these cultural warriors stand there for us with busted drums and split cowbells. So on behalf, I am calling on all the Junkanoo Nation 242 to do a supply drop to them and keep the vibe alive. I'm encouraging the Junkanoo groups, Mr. Speaker, to do a care package of some goatskin drums and some cowbells and some other necessary material that they are requesting because, according to them, they are looking a little shabby. So whatever can be done, either through culture, tourism, or through the public domain, we invite them to do that. And if you need assistance contacting them, you may do so through my office at the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Mr. Speaker, Pinewood. I'd like to convey, Mr. Speaker, to the people of Pinewood that we need all hands on deck. Like I said before, I am not a coulda, woulda, shoulda man. In 5 years, you're not going to look at my face and say what Reuben do or ain't do, because I'm going to look you in your face and say, listen here, I took the horse to water. Don't play with me. See, I believe in the ability of the Pinewood people. I've seen it. I know what they can do. My vision is at the end of the day that they own Pinewood, not Reuben, not the F&M, not PLP, but to build a sense of community where there's pride and there's responsibility. And so all the things that we are doing is to bring about that sense of ownership. You got to pardon me, I get sick and tired of MPs sounding like they is God, they know everything, they be everything. Listen here, this is where you live. Your home should not be more important to me than it is to you. Your children should not be more important to me than it is to you. Your bank account should not be more important to me than it is to you. You finding a job should not be more important to me than it is to you. And if I offer you help and you don't come, I guarantee you somebody else is willing to accept it. Amen. My job as an MP is to do my best. Yes, sir. And I assure you one thing, when Reuben has done his best, he goes home and he rests. And no guilt trip moves me after I know I would have done my best. So to Pinewood, I need all hands on deck. And I say it unapologetically. If you are in the fight, I am there with you. If you are sitting on the blocks, I don't hang there. If you want to go higher, you can rent my shoulder. But if you want to play games, I don't go down with people. We need to realize that at the end of the day, when our nation get better, you get better. When our flag flies high, you feel the honor. When our Golden Girls win that medal, some of you get up off your crutches and want to run too. It's a sense of pride and ownership when there's victory accrued because of the word we, the word us. We cannot have sustainability if it's always a handout. You have to have equity in your own success and in your own development. It's a simple fact. So Pinewood, you need all hands on deck. In Pinewood, we have finished the drafting of our Pinewood Alliance, which is a unique machinery that we are developing, and it will have an online component to it. And it had to be done so because it took a while. We had to figure out how we jump through the loopholes of some of the issues we've seen happening in terms of procurement and people getting business licenses. And I wanted a vehicle whereas we can get business opportunity to people and they not have the stress of the business issues and all that stuff, you know. And yet I wanted accountability. And there's being developed an online portal. So at the end of the day, we can be able to market the service and skills of everybody in Pinewood, and it will be rated. You will earn your rating. Your work can be bidded on wherever you are around the world. They can see what service you offer. And payment can be made through the association to you if you don't want to go for a business license because you're good at drafting resumes or something of that nature. And you want to be able to track it and maintain it, and that is already being paid for, and the development has already been started in that regard. So the Pinewood Development Alliance will be one component, and the documents are already drafted up. The Pinewood Foundation has already been drafted, and the only thing holding it up is that I have people out looking for persons of a certain ilk. We want the original board to be made up of movers and shakers, people who could bring value to the foundation. We want a foundation that's not going to take 20 years to get traction and moving. And so we're going to be asking persons of all walks of life and different spheres with local and international reach, banking experience, persons who are bold enough to speak truth to power, to bring a level of credibility to the board of the foundation of Pinewood. And also there's a youth component, whereas they are to mirror and develop the young people so that they will soon be able to cycle and take over the structure of it. But in the beginning, we will not risk the nucleus of the foundation with error or names that are tumultuous or may cause problem to the credibility of it. Because whatever we build in Pinewood, we want to eventually have that vested under the portfolio of the foundation. So when we begin to see grant money, We look to the government for so many things, and we don't realize with the stroke of a pen in a well-built organization, there's probably more money out there in the world than you could probably find floating around in government coffers waiting for your MP or someone to find something to do. Why don't you build your community and position it to receive what is available out there? And it's as simple as that. And so when that is built and that is designed, the Pinewood Foundation would be able to do that. And it is hoped that even places like our two senior citizens' home will be able to accrue benefit by having an association, therefore, and vice versa by their association with the foundation, that funds could probably be solicited internationally to help assist the development of all those other organizations. The Pinewood Scouts group is, again, we need hands on deck. I'm from Foxhill, no pride, no fault, and I love it and I'm proud of it. I've been a part of the 12 Bahamas Scout group for years. And normally every Easter 10 days I'll be sleeping in Roxanne and Lucha in the bush on the rocks with about 60 boys. I'm trying to get it, do that right now. I wanted to get some of our Pinewood people there, but it's sort of a little too tight, so we'll try for next year. And I got duck. They are so important to me, I don't think my church see me in Easter for the last couple of years. I've been when I look in church in St. Matthews and Roxanne. And look at my Facebook page, it's there. Why is this so important to me? I'm talking about the young beavers and the girls and the boys. You know why? For my years in Foxhill, go ask about it. Not a single boy that's been through that program, or girl, has made it in jail, get themselves in trouble. When their ma and pa can't rule them, they pick up the phone, the scout leader will come there and rough them right up, and that's that. Yeah. You know what it taught me, Quality is better than quantity. Some parents spend a lot of time with the children, even I gotta look at mine and how balance it with politics and all that stuff, but it's the quality of the interaction, the relationship you have. Can I give you an example? I've learned how to stand from being in Foxhill, and this is what I want to bring to Pinewood because I know it works. I've learned that whenever I'm standing talking to somebody, I need to look down before I turn around and move. It sounds stupid, huh? You know why? Because on too many occasions, I'm sitting there, and these little children got manners, and I'm sitting there talking, and I turn around, my knee hitting the child in the forehead. You know why? The child's standing up there, right there, just waiting for when they finish, because you know what? They expect when I turn around, I can grab them and hug them and break the spine and shake them up, and they look disappointed if I walk. So I learned to look down and walk away. There are times children would tell, and I'm telling you what you could build with community spirit. Not no pie in the sky. I'm not even talking government money and this money. I'm talking about just being around, going to the bush, eating pigeon plum, taking fish and line, and doing stuff with children with some level of interaction that people take for granted. These things happen and these things work. And it cultivates an environment that is safer for all of us. And now we see our children winning awards and going off to school and having strength and strong interaction. The 12 Bahamas Scout Group, which is indeed the most successful scout group in this country, has already agreed to come and mentor a group in Pinewood for me. And I need people to come to the office, say you're interested, and take it over so we can get these kind of programs up and going. And I must be selfish. I can't wait to go in the bush and find with children anyway, because I need to show them what to do. These are the things that change our children and create the kind of bond. PMG, the Pinewood Men's Group. Now, I come in the church area, and every time you go to church, all the men group do run around, go singing like a bunch of women. They go singing. Men do ooga wooga stuff, real stuff. We go shoot hogs, we come back, we grill, we do stuff, and we do the kind of things. We've lost the kind of connection that the boys do. And I don't want our young boys growing up that the only manly thing you can do is hang on the block and drink a Heineken. There's a lot of other things that you can do to transmit to that boy what it is to be a man, even as simple as how you talk to women. So there is a Pinewood Man Club that we want to bring about. And the next is our Pinewood Keepers. Now, I know all of these things. I know these things because I've been around through my community, and I know you senior police officers, prison officers, immigration officers, and everything else. The Pinewood Keepers is to bring about the law enforcement residents of Pinewood so that they could stand and they could operate within their natural capacities to be able to help us with security issues with that. And I am pleased to report through my dialogue, even with the Minister of National Security, that during the next budget cycle, it is anticipated that Pinewood will be a benefactor of CCTV system throughout the community. And that is very, very important. And I'm anxiously looking for the programs that they had announced within the police commissioner policing plan that was issued this year. And Pinewood will suck everything dry that the government has, like you eat fish head and cane. If it's out there for my community to get, I'm going to fish. And I'm going to try my best to get it. You know, I'm a part of the original Congos Junkanoo group. I do all their rowing for them. When they come sixth, I row, they come first. Ask colors, they know how I go. When it comes to dealing with people I represent, I am not forgiving. And I'm very petty. I remember holding up the JCMP for 0.25 points that was due to my Junkanoo group. Don't play with me. And I said, no, my job is to make sure every jot and tittle that the Congo is supposed to get, I get. And they know if I don't write anything, I write dissertations, and I stand up and I bring evidence, because my job, when I represent people, is to put myself aside and remember who I am representing. And so the same with Pinewood. At the end of the day, every drop that is due to Pinewood out of this consolidated fund, because it ain't no favor. All right, Pinewood contribute to that consolidated fund. I'm going to make sure that they get every jot and every tittle. And what I am doing as a member of Parliament is getting ahead of the game. I cannot stand reactionary leadership. Yes, we all know leadership things will come. Things will come. We understand that. But sometimes some leaders just sit on their laurels and wait for things to come. In Pinewood, my job is to get ahead of the curve. So in all of our projects, we submit our things in advance. In January, and I have to thank the Minister of Public Works, although I'm getting ahead of myself tremendously, and I was almost sobered by his remarks, because very truly, as a man that I have observed and he has earned in my life, when I listen to Carmichael speak, I do get a sense of peace. Not with everybody yet. Because he has shown to me to be firm enough to shut me down and firm enough to stand by his word he gives to me. I value that. I don't value anybody who always happy with me, you know, because I get suspicious. When Carmichael says, Ruben, I'll get back to you, he's going to get back to you. If Carmichael says, Ruben, I'm looking into that, and if there's a delay, I guarantee you by the time I find out, it is something probably outside of his reach or something I give accountability for. As it relates to preemptive action, from January this year, we've met with persons concerned, senior persons concerned, again, in public works being Pinewood so much, I almost feel like I'd be distracted from the whole Commonwealth of the Bahamas. Because whenever we do a community plan, we get them to come and we walk them through our community. We show them every street corner, every concern. Then we ask them, is this the right proposal? Does this look right? Do we need to rewrite this? Because this would be need done. And we do that because it is my job to get ahead of the curve for my people. See, I'm not concerned about the 4 inches of rain that came down the other day. I tell my members that that was a flood. That just came down. But as a leader, I am responsible for what is predictable, man. I know crab season. If you don't know what crab season means, that's rainy season coming. I know it coming. I know when hurricane season is coming. So I'm not going to be waiting in March and May to deal with that. From January. And so you know that means from December, I was arranging a meeting with the people from Public Works to back us on the park, and we can talk for hours. Because we needed to get a plan. And I need my people to understand this, you know. The member for Carmichael speak truth. And as it relates to the big plan, I don't say much because I don't overspeak my minister on the big plan. He knows what is what. But as it relates to the open plan, I have no mercy on nobody. None whatsoever. We came about and I told them that my job is to do one thing, do your best. I told the engineers that come into Pinewood, I'm not looking for a miracle, no, I'm looking for your best. And if your best effort reduces flooding by 10%, I will stand with you and tell the people, listen, that's the best we could do. If your best effort is to keep the drains clean and they can stop the water 1 inch from somebody's threshold, that's good enough for me. But don't let the water go 1 inch over the threshold because you didn't do what you're supposed to do. Just do your job and sleep well. And I stood up and don't mind, I pass through my community regularly. My people have access to me, and I got to, by the way, got to say almost like you, listen here, man, I know y'all love me, you pray for me and all that stuff, but you don't got to send it in the fly to my phone. I tired of my phone crashing. You know, you don't got to send it on Facebook, but don't send the videos or stuff. I go up there and my phone is crashed every time I reach. You can just say hi. You know, but those things eat up my phone too much. But I'm serious, man. I'm really serious. I have a community cell phone, and that's my community cell phone. I answer every call on my community cell phone. And it's simple. I say, if I don't answer you, shoot me a missed call, because those messages get lost. I look at the missed call, and I call back. You answer me on Facebook, the report that the Minister for Carmichael gave was a response. I was in Suriname, and communication was bad. Lord, don't let me say anything but BTC and this other phone company. But anyway, the cell phone was really, really bad. And so I'd have to wait till I get the Wi-Fi range. I messaged the minister after I saw the note from the constituent as to what's going on with electricity in Pinewood. And I messaged him at 8:45 p.m. I got an acknowledgement 6 a.m. in the morning. No, so you all may think that's response. Say, okay, I see it, I will get back to you. By 2:26 that day, and it could have been because I probably wasn't even in the Wi-Fi zone, Minister Bannister responded back to me with a solution to it, and I posted to the person message on Facebook. See, sometimes you look around and you see how great they are to some people. But I'm telling you, this happens because there's a team in this house. There's a team in this house called F&M. There's a team in this house. And I'm grateful for the ministers that are so responsive to the needs because they understand what is going on. So I want us to understand this one thing, and I would stand against the minister on this one point when he spoke about the drains, and I appreciate it from listening to him. I could tell he's been reading the response. Despite his level, I listened to his debate, and I could tell what he read because I know what I write. So I thank you for giving some personal eye to something that you could have easily said a technical officer just look at. And I acknowledge that. But let me make it very, very clear, as I did to the engineer who stood up on ZNS and said something different than me. I don't talk light. No, sir, I don't speak off the top of my head because I'm just like you, I will apologize if I'm wrong. Those drains in Pinewood was cleared for the first time in August. All I ask for, I don't ask for the drains to say Pinewood, I say clean the drains and keep your name clean. That's all I say, If Pinewood got a flood, let it flood, but not at the hands of you not cleaning what you're supposed to do. I am in Pinewood. Those drains are in the front of people's houses, and those people live in the front of those drains like crab lives in holes. And they're not fools to say what drain is not serviced in the front of their house. I don't ever argue against logic of one of them saying your house ain't gonna flood. I want to look and say, was the drain clean? And it wasn't. I spoke to him privately in January about it. And I tell them that I'm the kind of person, listen here, be cool, but I just talk after a while. And quite frankly, if the person, sir, do this for me, whatever work is done in Pinewood, and I tell people there's an ethic code with me. And we all know as member of parliament, there are certain little contracts you have recommendations for. Like, parks and stuff, that's a common knowledge. But I tell everybody who come here, to me, I say, listen here, I trust, but I verify. If you don't do the job, don't come around me no more. I don't care if you're PRP or F&M. All I care about is if there's a contract from Roads and Parks, when they come around, the park should be clean. Right. That's it. That's it. And if not, I ain't gonna hide the fact that Reuben Ramming come in, and if my hands have anything to do with it, I would tell you to your face, brother, you messing up. There's somebody else who is willing to do the job and feed their families. This country has gone to hell in a handbasket. You all probably know about the millions of dollars of contract. If you're not faithful in the little things, how we can trust you with these big contracts? 86 million. You don't care if the man abandoned the site. You don't care that the amount of money is wasted in these contracts to build schools that nobody built in their whole term. You don't care about money wasted could have kept families' houses from being taken away from the bank. If you wanted to waste the money, why didn't waste it in mortgage relief? So what I'm simply saying is, sir, that there is a mark of accountability in everything else in the same way I expect to be held accountable. I will not put my name behind anyone who at the end of the day, when they have to do a task, don't do their task to the best of their ability. I want to also bring to attention the Pinewood Sport League. In October, if you may have realized, there would have been some young baseball players that were signed. Do you know that on a regular basis there are major league players coming into Pinewood on that field in the back there that has all the feces in the bathroom is messed up, the lights aren't, has no electrical wire running to the lights on the park, and the park could really do some work, and there's some major league people coming here all the time. When I say that Pinewood Parks and its development needs to be given priority, I'm not saying this just to look pretty for somebody to vote, you know. I'm saying this because things are actually happening that we could expand. The WASP program with Paul Lewis, our golfing program, I want to put a 100-foot stretch of putting green there. Oh, you think it's strange? Go at a right day in Pinewood and watch and see the little girl putting in that little crabgrass trying to putt and play golf. There's opportunities out there. We got to believe in our children. These parks won't go to work. I'm not concerned with who don't want to use it. Listen, if you got to give it to Pinewood, we'll go right now, and if you want to, we'll show you what we're doing with it. There is a lot of potential happening right now for our children. The scholarship and archery, we got that stuff ready. There's a lot of opportunities to bring our children to a higher level. Where else could boast, as I am doing right now, and go, you can verify. You don't got to trust me. Trust but verify applies to me too. That we have on the regular scouts coming in to have that program. And we want to start a constituency league in Pinewood. Not no league owned by no private person. Something that goes on. So when Pinewood get one, we're going to come across and we're going to go to Nassau Village and help them get one up. And then they're going to go. And what we're going to do, that will help counteract this gang culture. Gangs scheme up when when houses start building walls and children start playing together, you know. That's how gangs start. We lose ourselves in that regard. The Pinewood Beekeeping and Backyard Club, you know I know how to make money in beekeeping, so you know where I can sit there and don't arrange to do that. And see, I'm speaking to you, but I'm actually speaking this to the ear of the people saying, I need help, hands on deck. And it's as simple as that, as simple as our agape outreach that we want to do in Pinewood. So I'm cutting short some of these things we're going to deal with because I want to jump to another very important issue. There's a lot of things happening. We are now looking for land space. And I think I called the chairman of Roads and Park to help me track down a piece of land because we're going to build a community center in Pinewood. I wait until someone say, or even anybody say, I got money for that, to provide a community center. Man, as a man of faith, I going to do that. And guess what? Remember, as a bushman, I will find it if I have to. We can work together and find it. And I'm getting a recommendation from Freetown pointing to somebody just slightly to his right. That could give us a whole one, but I don't know if Freetown will have to represent that himself. Oh, yeah, forward, right. Listen, I am pleased to announce that the Pinewood constituency office is now divided, and we are giving office space. It's already made available for the Nassau Village Sea Breeze Property Owners Association that they will have an office to do decent business in the Pinewood constituency office. Their mine is there. Hey, it's the people's office. The reason why is this. We are working for Project Freedom 2019. Why I say freedom? Because it's Independence Day 2019. It's the projected day when this government will finish paying off the obligation between Arawak Homes and them as it relates to the 300 disputed properties that bordered Pinewood, Nassau Village, and Seabreeze. And I want to acknowledge the Speaker for his role and his work in that part, and also being there and making the obligation to open up his constituency office to accommodate this. But as a forward-thinking leader, it's not good enough to sit there and wait for 2019. because that's not the end of the game. We brought the AG into Pinewood, and we made proper representation. It's online. You can see it yourself so people can understand. Yes, that part could be satisfied in 2019 independence. But guess what? The other half could probably take another couple of years. So we're telling the people, now that you know the strategy, start bringing in your documents now. Start answering the questions that the AG anticipate will come forward when they satisfy Arawak Homes. Because when you finish with Arawak Homes, then you move into settlement. Isn't it just simply wise to be proactive and try get your numbers and your act together now and start preparing for your settlement a year out? Maybe some of you may be truly lucky to have the complete liberation right after. The AG office has committed to Pinewood to send officers from the AG's office to periodically come into Pinewood office to work specifically with those landowners and start the process ahead of time to get a jump start on their resolutions. People are dying and having stroke, and families are still breaking up because they're hopeless because their homes have been taken away from them. And so we are doing this right now. So it's called Project Freedom 2019, and that space is allotted, and it would be their private space. They would have a key. We just have an emergency key. They keep their files, and they would prepare themselves from the road ahead. We got to stay ahead of the curve. Some things don't have to cost money if you simply stay proactive. The same way we had road works that could only cost $100 million and end up costing $500 billion because one government is too scared to make some people vex. Now everybody vex because the road's bad. Why you just didn't stick there and finish the road? No, as a government, and this is what I admire about our leader, you know. He can take a licking and keep on ticking. He is not necessarily, you can find all kind of faults, but I look at him like I'll go, his heart is right. And it's our duty to compensate for anything else. I'd rather have a flawed person with the right heart leading me than a smart crook. We had 4 years of that. No, when you have somebody, when we...
Honorable member, are you on a point of order, Cat Island? Honorable member for Pinewood. Honorable member for Pinewood, the member for Cat Island has the floor. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Cat Island, Rumkey. Honorable member for Pinewood.
You know what, Mr. Singh, that was exuberance, but I don't know why the member for Cat Island stands, because he just gave me cause to stand firm on what I need to do. I don't need to remind him of the newspaper article that came out just before the last election, that speaks to matter concerning clients and funds. Listen to me. I didn't come here to pick a fight. I'm talking about Pinewood. But even in my slip-up, I'm very cautious with my words. And I'm totally, let's not go there, because I'm just saying, I'm being very, very cautious. I'm just simply saying, see, I've learned in life, Mr. Speaker, you don't have to trouble when they trouble you. But I learned from Shaka Zulu, never leave an enemy behind lest they rise up again and come up with the truth. I am talking about my people. I am talking about my people, and I'm talking for the good of Pinewood. But there's some things when I speak in this house, I personally don't want to be reminded of, you know. See, we seem to think that everybody who sits outside this house don't be taking notes. I've been watching my country for a long time. I've been watching foolishness and wonder sometimes how some people get elected. I've been watching what's going on for a long time. And I advise, don't go there. See, some people come into things, and you got to know, I think I heard Edison Keys say one time, but he's a dangerous man. You got to understand, some people have the courage of their conviction, and some people will see their conviction through to the end. And all I'm simply saying is, let Pinewood talk Pinewood business. Because I will yield my time, pick it up, go to the registry and find files and come back, and I would argue anything. I'm not here to insult anybody or to pick no sin. I'm talking about the people of Pinewood. I don't play with them and nobody else. They are Bahamians, and they will be strong when they are people who love them, chastise them, take care of them, and show them the right way, sir. That's all I want to do here today. Can I finish what I'm doing? Nassau Village needs to be represented. Listen here. Listen here. I want to, Mr. Speaker, speak to the community infrastructural issues in Pinewood. And I speak to my people. And sometimes, mind you, I respect them, you know. And they learn to respect me because they know if you talk to Ruben, he can tell you what it is. And he will be there for you. But he's not going to play your reindeer games. I don't play. Well, I do play. I love playing with my kids. You know, I look crazy. But when it comes down to the business that are at hand, there's no time for games. Infrastructural works. We have the roads in Pinewood. I thank the Minister for Public Works for acknowledging the paving in Pinewood. And I want to reinforce openly again what I tell my people again. When you rush, there is wastage. I've been in community, I've been in conversation with the chairman of the Water and Sewage Corporation to ascertain the status of our infrastructural work from their end. Pinewood is a floodplain. You can't be using pumps. You can't be using well waters. Water and sewage is not finished. It's infrastructural work. And I will not encourage paving of a road that I know the pipe is not done, because it's not about wasting. It's about being prudent. That's all it is. So I'm waiting for my final word. I talk to my people, you know, because I got to represent Pinewood. And I'm waiting for best understanding. I'm sure the Minister of Work may have it better than me, of the level of the water works that is being done in Pinewood has not yet completed, so that the road works could be done properly in that regard. BPL, for God's sakes, from the last hurricane, there is a huge tree just up from the roundabout, just south of the roundabout. Why is that still on the line? And trust me, most of the time when you hear me speak, I'm not telling it all. You know, I'm trying to be nice because I want the work done. I don't want to fight. I just want it done. But if you want to fight, then let's go there. But BPL, there's a tree on that line. The tree has a diameter of almost 2 feet trunk. The roots sustaining it. It's on the line. Listen, I have to make my community hurricane ready. Now, what God and the hurricane does is not Reuben business. It is my job at the end of the day, when they say go in because the storm is bearing down on you, I go sleep because I would have done my best. That's it. And we need right now, while there's no great demand, to come into my area and clear. That way my community needs to be prepared for the season. That's it. And there should be no reason for that happening. You know, I'm glad it was happening at BDC. We have fiber to home and all that stuff. That's pretty good in that regard. But there is an issue because we've been having some accidents right at that roundabout in Pinewood. And I'm requesting from Public Works, you know, we don't put speed bumps in that area. But there's a demarcation you put into the road. They normally paint it yellow that creates a texture that signals to the, whatever y'all people know, that cause the persons to slow down. We've had one of our bishop's wives get knocked down in Pinewood. I've been in Pinewood a lot. I've been in Pinewood so much I don't even know what's happening. I drove through, saw the accident. I just thought it was something happening on the road. It wasn't until, you know, when we had those shooting in Pinewood. And I came in that Sunday, convened a community meeting, to discuss the concerns, and then I found out that was his wife who got knocked down. There are people who have to reverse onto that main road in there. We need to have these things looked at in that regard. So we speak to those things. I spoke to the ethics issue in terms of that in Pinewood in that regard. There's much going on in my community, sir. And to be quite honest, I can't wait for this new budget that should allow for any shortfall in anything that the government heart may be willing to do for Pinewood to have a greater chance of seeing the light of day. Because finally that will be this administration's budget. Hopefully one that we don't have to continue spending on back bills that are popping up every day like some imaginary friend. Hopefully now we can really have money, not just to keep the ship afloat, but to really begin to project and move the ship forward, because we're able to now project a budget based upon a streamlined public service. based upon efficiencies in government, based upon transparency and accountability. And I want to say to our Bahamian people that tend to be a little too overly optimistic about the performance of this government. Listen here, let me just simply say to you, y'all aren't no fools, you know. Y'all weren't stupid when you come and re-elect and elect this new administration, you know. Y'all weren't blind with what you see, which y'all saw at that time. Y'all weren't mistaken as to the chaos y'all imagined. You probably didn't know how bad it was. So look at it this way, quite honestly. I may want to put the best furniture in my house that was gutted by fire. But I have to do the right things before I can add the new things in. Don't expect from us in 6 months something that, if it was true, you would look like a fool when you went to the polls. You were right when you went to the polls. This nation was sinking. This nation was disrupted. This nation was back to the point of sale. This nation was going to hell in a handbasket. And all I'm simply saying that if you believe, don't believe in this administration. I don't even have to ask you, if you believe that when you mark your X, it was based on sound logic that your gut, your spirit, your eyes, your ears, and your nose saw, then understand the gravity of the lifting we must really do. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying don't be unreasonable, you know. I'm saying you can hold our feet to the fire. But at the same time, be reasonable. Be reasonable. But I need to warn us. Real has a shelf life. And I fear it's quickly approaching. So to all of us, let's do our best. And when we will have done our best, let's not hang our head in shame, because we can take our rest. Mr. Speaker, fine with rest.
As many? The chair recognizes the honourable member for Fox Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, earlier we were given some erroneous information in relation to Ms. Marilyn Ferguson. We have now received, and thank God for these, we have now received contrary information that even though she is gravely ill, thankfully she is still with us. So we want to put that out there.
Amen.
Thank you, honourable member. And just before we proceed, we have a number of requests. 3 more: Tall Pines, Naughty Lutheran, Carmichael. We'll start with the senior man, Carmichael.
Speaker, I'm thankful that you would give me permission. I neglected when Foxer spoke. I did not want to interrupt her, but I ought to have said this when she finished speaking, because she raised a very important issue, I think, for the country, and I'm grateful that you give me permission to just address it. Remediation efforts at Clifton. Clifton is an area where there are huge amounts of oil underground. Millions and millions of gallons, lots of oil. Under the former administration, an effort was initiated at a cost of some $8 million, which we are continuing with respect to remediation. We have also, in addition to what they have started, added certain components to it to seek to collect the waste oil. The government is fully committed to that. The government is fully committed to clearing up and cleaning that area up. And the government is also committed to passing environmental laws that will ensure that this type of thing does not happen again in the Bahamas. And so I know that you raised a concern in your contribution with respect to oil in the water, but I want the Bahamas to know that this is an issue that has been a concern for successive governments, and that both governments have sought to address it appropriately and are seeking to do it in the quickest possible time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. The chair stands corrected in terms of seniority. The chair recognizes the honourable member for Kalani. Oh. Okay. The chair recognizes the honorable member for you. Oh, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Marco City.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted very quickly to say a special congratulations to the aquatic, the water polo team that won gold in under 14, under 16, and under 20. And they will be arriving roughly around 9 p.m. tonight, and we invite as many of you as possible to come down to the airport. And then, of course, to extend condolences to one of our colleagues whose mom passed, Robin Lyons, on the passing of her mother, to let her know that we're all praying for her, and she's in our thoughts and our prayers.
Thank you, honorable member. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Tall Pines.
Mr. Speaker, just quickly, I think it's important because I think the end of March is the deadline for students throughout the Bahamas who want to take advantage of scholarship opportunities. And I did mention in my end of April, in any event, Mr. Speaker. But I think between March and April, these are deadlines. And I did mention in my contribution that we're having, Tall Pines is having a town hall meeting tonight at 7 o'clock. So I've already sent the notice to my colleagues here. I just want to invite you to send out that notice so that your constituents could also be a part of this very opportunity. We'll be having members from the Ministry of Education and from the University of the Bahamas present to speak about opportunities. I know Southern Shores did theirs a few days ago. But I want to invite all of you to Tall Pines, the Garvin Times Primary School, the day at 7 p.m. Garvin Times, Tall Pines Town Hall meeting. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. The chair recognizes the honorable member for North Eleuthera. Or South Eleuthera, my correction. Central and South Eleuthera.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, I would like to, at this moment, say a special thank you and a congratulations to Mr. Jonathan Rendell, who won the spelling bee competition here in New Providence yesterday. Yeah. And he hails from Century Lutheran High School. So congratulations to him. And to the staff and his parents. Mr. Speaker, I'm not finished yet. I'm a proud MP today, Mr. Speaker. The Avery Hall, a student from Preston H. in Saudi Lutheran, has won the Young Chef competition in senior division in the Commonwealth of the Bahamas High School competition. Again, congratulations to him. So, Mr. Speaker, you see, all is well with our young people. And I want to say congratulations to both of the principals at those two high schools and to the parents. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, honorable member. As many, the chair recognizes the honorable member for Kalani. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Bamboo Town.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I do now move that the House suspends until 3 p.m. tomorrow, Tuesday, the 20th of March, 2018, 3 p.m.
I second that, Mr. Speaker. Fine riches in him.
Thank you, honorable members. It's been moved and seconded that the business of the House do suspend until 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. As many as are in favor will remain seated. Those who oppose will stand. The business of the House stands suspended until 3 p.m. tomorrow afternoon.